Hello, everyone.
Oh,
Good morning.
wait a minute. There we go. Hello. I feel like I haven't been here in a while.
Well, you did weren't you here
I
yesterday,
wasn't here Friday or yesterday,
and
so
and yesterday was a Monday, so it probably
yeah,
makes
it's
sense.
been.
Oh, cause you weren't here on Friday
I was
either.
not here Friday.
Oh, it has been a
Shall
while
we
then.
filled in Friday. Hello, everyone. No one claimed first today.
I
That seems
know.
unusual.
Source just said aloha.
Lumberjack Tim, Law Dog, Clarkatron, T. Schmidt, George and Heather, catching live from UK.
Nice.
Hoping to
Hello,
get my hands on
welcome.
some news soon. Awesome. I did.
I am
I
gonna
got my
use
hair
some
did.
noosh today.
That's
And
what I
yeah,
did on Saturday.
Jen has a new fancy hairdo. Looks very nice. Uh huh.
I got some bangs.
I got some bangs.
Thank you, Bakamaru. 10.
I hope you all have had a wonderful day so far. Doing a little bit of color testing on this, checking to see if undercoating
Ooh, that's kind of neat.
purple. So, like, I'm going to put purple over this,
Oh,
and I'm curious how the purple will interact with the green underneath
yeah.
it. Trying to find something like what we did with the Magneto, where I underpainted the red and then put the blue over it, and it made it really dark.
Uh-huh.
I want to find something like that for purple. And I think green might be the ticket.
And what did you do on the around that part?
Oh, this?
Kind of pink, purpley pink.
So I painted up some copper. It's actually the same copper recipe from the short that we posted this week, I think. Because I did like a copper armor short this week, and I did the test on this model. So I was doing some tests with purple transparent to see what it would look like over gold and over copper. Doesn't look as good as I would like. It just kind of makes it really dark. Um, in not a good way. Like the red with the blue green made it look really dark in a really good way.
Mm-hmm.
This makes it look kind of weird and muddy, which I don't want.
Gotcha.
So the goal is to find something that'll work good for that. So we're testing it out.
Her face looks cool.
Yeah, this was a little test paint that I did on, not on, but at LVO.
Oh. And her eyes
Yes.
are like crazy blue, right? That looks amazing.
Yeah, I did.
There's a lot of life there.
Fancy
very realistic
eyes.
looking.
Yeah.
Very cool.
I really like painting eyes.
You like
Especially-
painting eyes?
I do.
Yeah.
Well, I don't like painting eyes on small things.
Right.
I like painting eyes on things
When
where you
there's
can
room.
actually like add
Yeah.
character and life to them.
Yeah.
Like this is a great example. Because there's the eyes are such a focal point of your face that there's a lot of really interesting depth that you can add there. That I find to be very, very, very interesting.
Go for it, painting Jade. Hello.
What's up, Jade?
Tuesday.
Also, I just want to say for a record, shading with transparents is super cool. Look at the cool effects I'm able to get on this metallic with this transparent. And imagine if I was just using like a blue and a brown just to add a little bit more depth. I know I'm using kind of a weird color. And don't worry, we'll get back to the salamander boy in just a minute. This is a test for a short that I started today, and it will be finishing tomorrow. So I want to get this tested to see if we can add something else that's really cool to that short. I would really like that. But sometimes you just gotta do a little bit of testing. Because I do not know everything.
1 week, Bobzilla. So crazy. When do you guys leave? Wednesday?
Wednesday, a week from tomorrow.
Yeah.
Just wild. Although I mean, we can talk to Gabe to be sure, but I think we're the most prepared for a show that we've ever been. It feels like everything's all packed. all I have to do is like pack my suitcase. There's a couple of like last minute things that I gotta bring for like paintbrushes and stuff like that for me. But yeah, nothing crazy at all, which is great because let me tell you, packing that night before a show is always like, where is everything? Do I have everything? Oh my gosh! So the goal is to be packed ahead of time this time, so I can just relax on that night.
Swaddle360 just joined the channel in the Discord.
Hello.
I'm starting my journey into mini painting.
Nice. Welcome.
I've painted only 2 minis so far, but still have lots to learn. But I'm grateful to have found this community to get some tips, advice, and encouragement. Awesome.
We are all about the tips and advice here. Feel free if you ever have any questions, please let us know.
Game Delay's got it right. We're not all as nice as Jordan, but we're all excited to be nerdy and paint.
I do my best to be as nice as possible.
But yeah, Swaddle, if you got any questions, if you've been wanting to, like you just can't quite figure something out and you want to see it demonstrated, that's what we're here for. Let us know.
Oh yeah, that does do what I think thought it would do. Turns it like a really deep blue.
That's crazy. Yeah, that looks really cool.
So wild how these transparents work.
Swaddle said my biggest issue with my first 2 attempts was having my paint too thick.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. That's very normal.
I know thinning is an essential thing that takes practice, but I'm still trying to figure it out.
Yeah, don't worry about it. It like, it'll take time, but you'll get it, and just think about it that you want to be able to have the paint flow without having to fight it. Is the big thing.
And sometimes that can happen just with like a wet brush, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like you just put water on your brush.
Yep.
Don't need to add a lot to it.
Yep.
Avian, you put the missing person first. You say hello to the person who's not even here before the people who love you enough to be here on time. I have a problem with this. But hello.
Okay. I think
Go left to right, last is best. Okay, thank you. That's acceptable.
I think maybe blue would be a better color. I think blue.
Instead of purple?
No, instead of green.
Oh.
I think the blue transparent is probably the way to go. Okay, we're back. So, now we gotta make this guy all grungy. That's the goal, actually.
Am I on time, or have I been waiting for an hour? See, we're the only smart ones here that don't worry about changing our clocks. We just live with the time that it is.
Yep. We live on
you
weird
guys
times.
are doing crazy stuff over there.
Yeah, why you guys like change your time of day twice a year? That's so weird.
If only I had $499 for a bold sense of humor. Literally nobody likes changing time. Then why do you guys all do it?
Exactly.
There's like millions of people that just do it. It's time to revolt.
What a funny thing to revolt against.
Huh?
No, what a funny thing to revolt against. I'm like, we're gonna revolt against what? Daylight savings time.
I mean, honestly, if everybody just got together and agreed,
yes,
it would be fine.
Yes. Oh, and of course, I'm a goofball.
Jeremiah M's over on YouTube said having a little moisture on your brush is essential. Swish in water and dab on a paper towel before grabbing paint.
Yep.
Very
so
good tip.
Whenever I always work with a damp brush. Maybe I'll see here. See, still has dampness on it. This is after taking it out of the, so I'll rinse it off, clean it on my palette, and then I'll come back, wipe this dry, and then, you know, see if I can get it in the, it's pretty dry here, but you can, it's like, oh, that's a little drier than it normally is. There we go. There we go. That's kind of the amount of paint that I work with. And that's usually enough to thin down whatever I'm working on without any extra work.
Avian said there's something.
Somebody likes it.
Ooh, loud. Something I figured out not to argue about here. 1, Hawaiian pizza is a flatbread, especially when Slippies is here. 2, do not mention time changes.
Do not mention time changes.
3, no more talk about tartar sauce. Iron Lungfish, thank you for the follow.
Hello, thank you.
If the rest of the continent stopped doing daylight savings, would we be on Pacific or Mountain Time? We would be on Mountain Time. If we were gonna just do standard time, we're always Mountain Standard Time all year long. In the summer, Mountain Standard Time happens to be the same as Pacific Daylight Time.
All right,
No.
doing a little bit of a.
Oh my gosh, I don't know. Oh, I think I can do it.
It's brand new, isn't it? Look at that. All right, my favorite noosh mixture.
Happens so infrequently. We don't need to buy your followers.
We got our own. Thanks.
Thanks, Gosu. Sorry, we've changed with the stream going on YouTube and Twitch at the same time. I wasn't sure where to do that, and then because we don't do it often, I forgot.
Hello.
Everybody went to the kids menu place, it looks like.
Yeah, they did.
No, you did. I see Canes.
Spaswozo, we
Canes over there on
do
the
paint
table.
Marvel
Who's
Crisis
that?
Protocol.
He's just moving in.
Don't
You
worry,
guys
I'm
have
moving
any
out.
Marvel Crisis Protocol nearby that you could show off?
Do I have any painted?
Spaswozo's asking if we ever paint any of that. Punisher says, screw the government. I'm going to become a sovereign citizen and refuse to acknowledge time changes. What are you doing?
I have plenty of painted Marvel Crisis Protocol. Not here.
Oh.
I have Shatterpoint though. Painted a lot of the Shatterpoint on stream. Which has been enjoyable.
Just coming in, messing everything.
Well, I mean, I wouldn't have to, but my camera's not right.
Jordan was recording when I came in, so I couldn't do anything.
You can change his camera.
But if I put on the screen to see his camera, it's going to mess up what you're recording, isn't it? Oh, I didn't know that.
Can't be recording at stream time. Shoot. He's late, he just has to do it again.
Tarragon wondered if you could recommend a recipe for linen cloth painting Grogu at the moment, and I think it's a linen robe he's wearing.
Dark golden brown.
You just did one recently, right? The tabard on your
Sapo, hello.
purple marine?
Yeah, there's a short for it.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's actually a short for doing one. Wasn't recent. It was back in.
Been a few months.
Yeah, been like October of last year, maybe. I want to say. So you can find that on our Instagram. It's probably easiest to find it on YouTube. If we can get the link out there for it. You can pull that up. But generally, with a quick recipe, dark golden brown, and then I like khaki. But you can go with khaki, you could go with ivory. There's a lot of different ways that you can go with it. But any combination of these. Oh, that's not the right color. That's the right color. Any combination of these will get you there.
Player J said, Jason, I am coming for the booth.
Whatever, dude. You only show up like once a year right before Adepticon.
Monument Shlebi said, Baby J, did you see the box of fun that I put in your office?
No.
I would like to know why I didn't get a box of fun.
Yeah.
In my office.
Is it maybe from that guy, Megalodon?
Oh. It probably is a fun
Is
one.
it a cool box?
That's yours. That's not necessarily. I mean, it's
Full
fun
of
for
full
us,
of
but not
minis?
really, right? Because it's not really anything for us. Player Street wants to know what model is that, Jason. It looks wild.
It's some new Age of Sigmar. They told me the name yesterday, but we don't remember it. Do you remember it?
Usharon, I think is how you pronounce it.
Spoopy Ghoulie guy.
Spoopy Ghoulie guy is
Spoopy
pretty
Ghoulie
good.
guy.
Elliot Moshel, there are new colors coming soon.
Tons.
Yes.
We're using lots of them.
Yes. We will
Are you noosing up your...
I'm
show some of
noosing
those
up
in a little bit.
the boy.
Noosing up the boy.
Noosing up the boy. I'm gonna try like a slightly delayed.
You're struggling getting PA to the right glaze consistency with just water for glazing over transitions. Too much pigment.
Try glaze.
It'll definitely do it. 100%.
It will do it.
All you have to do is look at Flame-On's reds.
True.
And his golds. Our paint will glaze however you like to glaze it. You're probably just struggling because you've glazed with other paints, and ours start from a point where you don't have to thin them near as much. And if glazing is tough, because most people start thinking you have to do 10 or 12 layers, and that's just wrong, right? You can do it, so I can't say it's like intrinsically wrong, but glazing shouldn't take more than 2 or 3 layers to get where you want to be, right? If you're doing like glazing where you're needing 12 or 15 passes to get through it, then our paint isn't going to really work that well in that arena because it is so pigment intense. But that just means it gets the job done in like 2 passes instead of 15, right? Which is much better anyway.
Sapo is also having trouble and says that you do something magical to only use water.
No, and I use some of the worst water on the planet.
Yeah, he and I never really clean out our painting mugs.
Our water starts gross and then they don't ever clean their cups.
Yeah. We make do.
Look at this.
Ooh.
Speaking of
This
new
is
colors.
fancy. Look at that label. That's different
Uh-huh.
and new.
Oh yeah, you forget that you weren't here yesterday when we did this.
Oh yeah.
I mean, I've seen them,
Mahanji was
but
like,
I was not here.
I feel like I haven't been here in a
We
while.
have all sorts of neat new things coming.
I have seen.
Speaking of Flame-On miniatures. Magic set. Oh, and there's a little known artist that we're introducing to the scene, Louise
Who?
Sugden, Rogue Hobbies. I know, nobody's ever heard of her.
Who's that?
Who's this person?
But we're going to introduce the world to Louise, and she's got some damn nice colors coming out.
Her colors would be like my colors.
They
Her
are.
palette, that's what everybody was saying yesterday. That's the Gen set.
I don't know if this person was being sarcastic, but someone yesterday, I don't remember if it was on Discord or on the post on social media, but someone's like, huh, these are 2 artists I've never heard of before.
No,
And I
somebody
was
on
like-
Discord was like, I thought I knew all the content, but they probably are watching like YouTube and Twitch a lot, and that's not where Louise is big on YouTube, so
Yeah,
but if you're just watching content creators on Twitch, you might not know them.
gotcha.
Correct.
Because Louise does stream, but not on a schedule like what most people would follow.
Yeah.
And Mashik does not.
Okay.
So it just depends on what, because in the world of content creation, live video, and like Mashik doesn't do long form YouTube stuff. He exists primarily in his Patreon world.
Yeah.
And his Instagram and Facebook. And Louise is big on YouTube.
Yeah. Punisher said Monument HQ is now basically a CMON satellite warehouse.
Not lying.
Feels like it sometimes.
Not lying.
Game delay, I'm not even going to try that.
There is something special in that box for you, by the
Spoopy
way.
ghoul guy.
For me?
For you specifically.
Oh my god.
It-
What could it be? A pinball machine?
No, he said specifically it was not a pinball machine.
Popcorn machine?
No, I think you actually would probably really be interested in it. It is Dune related.
Dune related.
It's Dune related.
Oh, they're doing a game.
Do we need Schlebby to bring the box of fun in?
Yeah, you know what?
I forgot they're
Why
doing
not?
like a Dune game.
Yeah, there may be a
bring the
copy of
box
it
in here.
in there for you.
What?
Yeah.
Swaddle360 said if you had to pick like 3 to 5 essential monument hobbies paints to get started with, what would you suggest?
Why? Why are
You
you,
guys
so
always
cruel
ask
to
the
us?
hardest
3 to 5
questions.
only?
3 to 5?
How about 7
Nobody
to
paints
5?
with 3 to 5 paint. Buy them all.
How about 24? Can we do 24?
I make the paints, the colors, so I can't answer this question because it will alienate the other 117 or whatever it is, and they'll all be mad at me and not work properly. So I need to not answer that.
Hoosiers mixed a new color today. Oh, that's so loud. Dark warm flesh and shadow flesh.
Nice. Dark warm flesh and chat. Yeah.
It hurt your heart to see Baby J cover over the skirt on that Marine? What?
What on this one? This one that I'm gonna just remove all that stuff from really quick.
Are the new signature paints satin or flat?
Yes. There's one satin.
The rest
Most of them are matte.
Most of them.
Of the 18, 16 of them are matte. One is satin black, and then we have one metallic.
One metallic.
Some glazed wash medium. Bloop.
Those who said it's kind of funny because I suspected a flame on set, but the Rogue Hobbies one caught me by surprise.
Ta-da! Keeping you on your toes.
There were a lot of people who, for months, have been saying, maybe on the big chair.
Yep.
We can have
That's
some
the
little
box that I thought it
unbox.
was.
For months, we've had people saying, "Oh, you should do a Rogue Hobbies signature set," or "Louise needs a signature set," and we're just like, "Oh, cool."
We just laugh in the
Yeah.
background.
Just like, all right, we'll put it on the whiteboard.
Especially-
Meanwhile, we're back here going,
Especially since Jason and I go through all the social media stuff a lot, and
Yeah.
we see all of it.
I mean, I do
So-
too, and I see all of it.
Yeah. So all of the people in here see that stuff all the time, and
Yeah.
we just laugh.
JP Gray, thank you for the sub.
What up, JP?
We are all here on your day off. You are the only lucky one to get a day off. We don't.
Shall I go show you your fancy schmancy thing from the box?
Huh?
Just
I'm painting.
okay.
I'm making things happen over here. Well, technically I'm not right this minute, but I'm working towards making things happen over here.
Disgraced Sphere said jade is probably my favorite color for Monument. Dark golden brown is probably my most used color.
I use dark golden brown a lot.
Ghosty said I think it's really cool that you guys did a set tailored to non-metallic gold. Those are super unique mixes that you probably it went away. That you probably can't get anywhere.
Yeah, and Mashik really wanted to create a set that, and I think he even said this in the Discord today, that mimicked his, his kind of bright pale golds that he does.
Mm-hmm.
And he did a Space Marine Terminator chaplain at one point that is just fantastic. And then, of course, the Dante that he's done and all that. So, they're great colors. And they're just great colors all the way around for
Everything else.
mixers, adders. He's got 4 colors in that set that will make leather just a dream. So, we're not calling it non-metallic gold anywhere on it. That's what it's built around. But it'll do so much more than
Yeah,
that.
they're not. I mean, obviously you can do a lot.
I hate pigeonholing colors like we do in our industry so often.
Yep.
That that's what you do for non-metallic gold. And then people think, well, I don't do non-metallic, so I don't need those. And you're like, well, that's not correct. These are just bitchin' colors.
Player J, it's actually the opposite. We have a surcharge, an additional fee for Canadians
Yeah.
at the booth.
You
So,
get charged
bring
like
extra
32
loons.
extra loons.
Watch
It's a
the artist-
32 loon surcharge.
I watched the Artist Opus video on Noosh. Funny how he says your finger is the best tool.
Your finger
It's
is the
finger
best
painting.
tool.
We've gotten to that point where we're finger painting.
That's Byron. Byron's kind of absurd when it comes to that stuff.
Clark Sean said, I think dark hot pink is about to be my favorite color.
It is really, really good. I used it on this
Kind of
guy.
awesome.
It's fantastic.
Ryan Wallace needs that new colorful set. Got so many colors I've been mildly wishing for. Thank goodness for the ultramarine.
Yeah, we had somebody today ask, I wish you guys would come out with an ultramarine. I was like, ta-da.
Interesting you asked that. Because, yeah, we have that for you.
Right?
We has that for you.
Gosu doesn't paint non-metallic yet, but looking at the Flame On set, imagining what I can use them for.
Yeah, they're all just great colors. The, ice yellow, which is the bright pale yellow, is going to be a great color for anybody no matter what you're doing.
Miniatures Den salutations.
Hello.
Salutations.
Christoph Matthews from YouTube just dropping a quick note to say I've been happy with the Noosh medium. I think I will find it very useful as I move forward in my painting. Use it for my own found object robot sculptures. What?
Oh, that's cool.
Found object robots?
I love this. Like lots of gears and stuff kind of thing.
That sounds very cool.
Yeah, interesting.
Game Delay said, I only paint with bitchin' colors, Jason, so it's a good thing that's what you make.
All we make. Amazing colors. For amazing artists like all of you.
Yep, Ranger, another one. Happy about satin black and ultramarine. James Siram, is there a tutorial for the PA gloss varnish? Looking for thinning instructions for brush and airbrush, but haven't received the physical bottle yet.
For thinning the gloss varnish?
Gloss varnish.
I mean, you can use it unthinned.
Yeah.
As a varnish. It's meant to be unthinned. If you're just using it as an additive, think about it as any other medium. There's no real, you can thin it with water and put it on. You don't have to really do a whole lot. There's not a lot of instruction needed. It's just a paint, right? It's a colorless paint. If you think about it like that, it's just gloss. And so you can use it however you choose. Thin it way down, mix it in with other colors to create satin colors out of our normal matte finish paints. Works really well.
Avian, no, because you added a G. And when you add a G to that word, it makes it sound like you're complaining. So you got to take the G off and just go for bitchin'. And if you say that, then yes.
Bitching. Those are bitching colors.
He wants to know if he asked for the bitching colors at Adepticon, could we just toss all three new paint sets into the basket? Take the N off and yes. Louise's set has made me coin Happy Bright as a term. I like it. Definitely Happy Bright.
You should see the stuff. She made some graphics today and sent them over to me so that I could see. And she made some amazing graphics for her set.
That's awesome.
Using the renders and this big splashy, like, colorful background.
Ken Collins said this has probably been answered a million times, but does Pro Acryl need to be thinned for airbrush?
The answer is it does not have to be. We typically here in the studio will airbrush it with no thinner for base coats where we want a lot of vibrancy or a lot of color coverage. And then you can thin it down for filtering and layering and all of the other things that you want to do with color. So it is very, very flexible. There is no need to do it for quick base coats. But once you start using it, you'll find that, you'll just treat it like any other paint. You'll be able to thin it how you like. If you want to do a lot of filters, like if I were doing this with airbrush, what I'm doing with brush right now, doing this glaze of red-gray over my underpainted flesh tones, then, I could thin it way down, use the glaze wash medium, do whatever I want to with it. Very, very flexible paint.
EK1919 said, I need the new sets too, hoping they don't sell out in the first 3 hours at Adepticon.
I'll be surprised if they make it 3 hours.
I would be very surprised if they make it 3 hours.
But we are building up right now to be able to air some in if we have to. So we kind of already expect that that'll have to happen. We're on it.
Another question from Swaddle. When painting the base color, do I need to be extra particular about staying in the lines, or is it better to paint broadly with solid coats and then fix the details as I finalize with shadows and highlights?
That largely depends on your preferences. I find that cleaning everything up later, depending on what the model is usually easier for me. Not having to worry about painting everything in the lines. You can get the base coat on faster. Especially if you're starting from the things that are further inside the model. So like I would paint like this little belt first, and then, base coat this stuff and the legs, and then, the cloth. Get to the stuff that's hard to reach, like this little Aquila on his chest, right? That's hard to reach, so I'll paint that first. And then I'll clean it up as I paint everything around it. So you can kind of save yourself on having to clean up a lot of that by just painting smart and making good decisions on what you're base coating with first.
How'd Philip do building that model for you, Jason?
Great. No complaints.
Good job, Philip.
I mean, it's not my model, so I wouldn't complain anyway, but
Oh, model is it?
I might make fun. It's Phil's.
Philip.
Oh, you're painting it for him?
Paint it for Phil.
Wow.
Yeah, unlike Chris Masushi, who got offered an ability for me to paint one of his giants, Phil jumped at the chance to have a model painted by me. Isn't that right, Christopher? From the other room, Christopher goes, "Yeah, I regret that." He has great shame.
Ryan Wallace said that non-metallic set almost seems tailor-made for the robot that's been on stream for the last couple weeks.
Right?
Yeah, well,
Which is done now.
it's done now. If you guys want to see it.
Well, and you got to remember too, like Jordan's non-metallic gold, he really likes to push it into like super warm levels.
Yeah.
And Mashik's set is for faded golds, right? So Mashik's set starts with the dark green brown. Right? For those of you that weren't around yesterday, we'll show them off. So Mashik's set is a non-metallic gold set because we know he hates doing non-metallic gold. A dark orange brown. We've got a good caramel brown, orange brown, bright yellow ochre, and bright pale yellow. So you can pretty much do anything you want with golds there, right? If you take away some of the more desaturated colors here, then you can get, close to what Jordan did, right?
Mm-hmm.
But by putting these in, it gives you the ability to do those shadows and have a little bit of a cooler gold, more of a natural gold. But great colors.
James Syram is asking when the new sets will be released on the website. It'll be late April, probably?
Yep, late
Early
April.
May?
We're targeting April 25th. But we'll keep you posted.
That's exactly how it'll be, Gosu. Jason having a standby plan for airdropping in paints. I'm imagining this is someone flying a plane over Adepticon and pushing a giant crate of Pro Acryl out the back with a parachute attached. Pretty much how it works. So typically it's better to start with the hard to reach smaller areas first, then getting into the bigger areas.
Yep.
Well, paint inside out is what we talk about.
Yeah.
So I don't know that it's hard to reach small areas. It's just paint inside out. A lot of times that's the way it feels, right? Like right now I'm painting the skin first because going back and painting the skin if I had painted the cloak already would be kind of a messy situation in some cases, right? So the skin is the deepest part of the model. It's underneath everything else. Like you look at like in his neck area, chest, torso, right? It's covered by everything else. So if we talk about painting inside out, that gets you to where, yes, you're usually working in those small detail areas first and then outward towards the top to where the final thing I'll paint will be like the fur and the crown and all the last gribbly bit details. And, so like Jordan said, a lot of that is just style. Some people I know will paint super smooth. Look at the big difference it's having glazing the red gray over the top when everything looked like this first, and now we're getting that deathly.
Are you doing red gray for the?
Yeah, red gray
nice,
first.
Nice, yeah.
Ghost Hunter said the more Jason paints that model, the more I'm like, thanks, I hate it, but in a good way. Because it's like weird looking? What? Because of the skin? I don't.
Because it's gross.
It's
It's a gross guy.
Don't ask me how I talked him into that. I was just gonna say, how did Phil rate getting a model painted?
Well, I
'Cause
wanted
Jason
to paint
wanted to
this
paint
model.
it. Yeah.
It's a cool model.
Yeah.
And he wound up with 2,
Oh.
I think. So I was like, I'll paint one. Because I sure as hell don't need to be painting models that just sit around.
Jordan went deep to make sure the surprise was kept. Nobody would suspect a non-metallic gold set after
So
he spent
true.
all that time.
Yeah.
Jordan, did you see there was a message this morning on Facebook for somebody that wanted to buy your salamander?
I did. I didn't respond to it. I was like, I don't know how to respond to this. The answer is no.
What
We don't
happened?
sell stream models.
Oh, someone wants to buy something you painted.
So
on
that
stream?
model he's painting
This-
right there.
yeah.
This
Somebody
one
sent
you're
us a
doing right
Facebook message and
Yeah.
said, hey, would Jordan sell that salamander model?
It's funny because part of it too is I was like, it's also just not done. See how you feel after today. Although I think it already looks way cooler with the wash on it and putting that. I'm going
Noosh
back
works
in.
miracles, right? It just makes everything look better. So
Yeah.
good. We've had a lot of people starting to get Noosh and doing videos and stuff on it. A lot of stuff popping up. We've had a lot of people. Obviously, Byron's video sent a lot of people out to get it and to open their bottles for the first time. A lot of people that were commenting were like, I wasn't really sure how to use it, but now this is let me know I can do anything.
JP, you need to use the paints that you already won before you're allowed to enter any more raffles.
True. Very true.
If the airdrop goes wrong and I was there, I would hope to be struck by Louise's colors, making my death more delightful.
It would be more colorful for sure.
It certainly would be.
It's like WKRP in Cincinnati on the Thanksgiving Day one.
God is my witness.
I thought turkeys could
thought
fly.
Turkeys could fly. Dexomnium said it was great meeting you guys at Gamma.
Awesome.
Working with your paints for 6 months or so and love them. Do you use wet palettes or dry the majority of the time or a mix of both? You got one of each here.
Yep.
Jason uses a dry palette. Jordan uses a wet. Jordan on the right painting this green one. I don't know what it's called.
It is Space Marine.
Some Space Marine.
The salamanders.
Salamander Space Marine.
Yeah.
You should sell stream models for charity for the sick kids.
Rather just give them to the sick kids.
Yeah.
Vexing Workshop remembers that episode. Les Nessman.
Yep.
Eyewitness weather.
Just screaming, "Oh God!" He's like, I really thought turkeys could fly.
For a beginner, would you recommend a wet or dry palette? Dry palette.
Yeah, probably a dry palette.
It's a good starting point.
Okay, so I'll tell you, the only thing that is restrictive about a dry palette is people worried about their paint drying out. Use less paint, right? Put out less paint, load it up onto the palette more frequently. You'll be fine. Wet palettes come with an entire learning curve on how to get them to operate without over-thinning your paints. They are great tools once you get the hang of them. But for a beginner, I would never say, as part of your initial purchase to get into painting, go buy a wet palette.
I think my general thoughts on this too are when you're learning to paint, focus on learning to paint. Don't focus on how to get tools to work to be able to use the paint. Yeah. Right? You're adding a lot of extra layers of things that you have to figure out and worry about and learn and get right, when you can just dump it on like a sheet of glass or like a tile that you have laying around at home, or on pretty much anything. You get like peel open a plastic container, use that. It's great. So you don't have to think about all the extra steps involved with that. So
I just buy palette paper.
Yeah, buy palette paper.
Yeah.
Buy a book of palette paper, go for it. And some people get mad at me when I say this. I know I caused some heat on the TUP podcast for a few people, got their feathers all wrinkled. Because I was saying that wet palettes aren't necessary, but it is the truth. Acrylic painting has been around for a lot longer than miniature painting has been around. And there aren't very many companies that make wet palettes for acrylic painters, right?
No.
It would blow your mind to know that the original wet palettes were made for watercolor, not for acrylics. And that acrylics are kind of a byproduct of being able to keep them wet a little bit longer. And it's a neat thing, right? I'm a lazy painter. You would think I would love a wet palette, but I just don't like the maintenance of them. So I don't prefer to use them. But they are a very useful tool, especially as you start learning to paint with more active mixes going. I'm painting with one color at a time here, so I don't need to worry about it. Yeah. But if I were mixing two colors together, a wet palette is fantastic because it helps to keep that mix going longer so that I don't have to keep remixing.
Yeah. And that's how I paint. I paint with tons of mixes.
Yeah.
That's just my preference when it comes to getting paint on models.
We did see the video. We were just talking about it, actually.
What's that?
The Noosh video from Byron.
Yep.
It was a good one.
I love how excited he got when he threw it through an airbrush. It was really funny.
Yeah, he was like, oh my God. He sent me a message. Go, did you know you can airbrush this stuff? I go, yeah, Byron.
Yeah, I make it.
Yeah.
Ultimately, painting is a personal process. Don't know why people get bent about how others do things.
Yeah, no, it is. It's a journey. You'll hear me say all the time that the right tool is the one that finishes the job in a way you're happy with. Don't let anybody tell you can't use like dollar store brushes or whatever, right? I mean, I'd love for you to buy our stuff, but you don't have to. You can paint with cheap paints and cheap brushes as long as you like the results and your journey in painting is happy for you, brings you pleasure. Keep doing it. Don't listen to anybody that tells you you're doing it wrong. Art is like chaos. There is no wrong, right? If people followed the rules in artwork, we wouldn't have anything worth looking at. It would all be too similar. So go out and stretch the limits of what you've been told. Take it all as just kind of, the rule of thumb. You can kind of do what you want to. Make it work for you. And that's how you'll eventually find the style that you can call your own. There's very few things in life where you can just kind of be wild and crazy with it. And artwork is one. The creative process that allows you to just go, I wonder what would happen if. And then you're like, oh yeah, I see why nobody does that. Or, oh my God, why does nobody do that?
Yeah.
And that's, for me at least, that's one of the best things that makes, creating, painting, drawing also fun. It's almost like being able to break the rules is a big part of it.
Disgrace Sphere, I agree with you. Disgrace Sphere said you would be wrong if you don't use Jen's brush goop.
Very true.
Well, there's only a few hard, fast rules in art, and one of them is if you're not using Jen's brush goop, you're wrong. Yes.
Yes, you're doing it wrong.
I agree. You're doing it wrong.
Yeah, paint. Just paint. Find a teacher when you can't do the thing you want to do.
It's funny, Jen. I was using one of the synthetic sixes today because I had the new one and I have the one that you cleaned, and I got them mixed up. I grabbed the new one and I was like, have I just been using the old one the whole time? And then I went and like grabbed the other one, and I was like, oh, okay, yeah, I got it now. But
good, but it's not that good.
Yeah. But it is very good.
I will not be at Adepticon, unfortunately, Player J.
You got to hold the fort down.
Make sure none of these knuckleheads get in trouble.
I mean, that's unavoidable pretty much, but
Avoiding the fallout as best as possible.
Thought I was doing brush cleaning streams during Adepticon. No, that would be be a snooze fest.
Jen would enjoy it though.
Huh?
You'd probably enjoy it though.
I would just clean brushes all day long. I don't think we have enough dirty brushes around here to clean the entire time you guys are at Adepticon.
You seen my desk?
True. If dirty brushes are the problem, we can solve that problem for you.
I want chat to mail you some. No, I want chat to clean their own brushes.
Yeah, dang it.
That's kind of the whole point, folks.
We're getting someplace.
Oh man, yeah, that's like totally different. That's
so
awesome.
what happened to this guy?
What do you mean?
Why is he like this?
He's like one of the Lord of Death's main like lieutenants. I think maybe Phil or somebody else in chat can let us know more about Ushuran. He was part of like the old world. He had a really neat story in the old world. And now in Age of Sigmar,
I did not know that.
He's just now hitting the table.
He tried that vegan meat.
Yeah, he ate too much. What's it called? Impossible.
Impossible meat. That's awesome. JP Gray, of course your brushes are clean. You never paint.
Dang.
You got told.
Getting called the heck out.
You got told.
Based on what I heard on a previous stage, Jason would like a dry palette cleaning stream while he's gone. Well,
Yes, I would.
Dang it. Yeah.
You know, as they were talking about that was going on in the back of my head. I said, when I get back, my palette better be clean.
It's not a stream where you just dump it in a bucket and let it sit there.
I'll dump your palette in a bucket before we go.
I need to make sure. I don't think the bucket exists anymore. I mean, it's
I mean, we
back
can
there.
Grab
but-
a bucket.
We
For
have
sure.
buckets.
Yeah, we have tons of buckets.
Yeah.
Not a problem, but
He is a Mortark. I don't know what that means. Mortark.
I don't know what that is either, to be honest with you.
Flesh eater quartz are what happened to Bretonia,
Yes.
said Jabe. He was very pretty vampire that went cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs.
I like that.
I like that too.
I know
Spooky
how to
Ghoulie
clean
boy.
Jason's dry palette. Buy a new piece of glass.
Yeah, just throw it out, buy a new one.
Oh, utility razor cleans a glass palette. I don't know if you've seen Jason's palette.
Yeah, that'd be a
It's
hell of a
lot
day for that
scraping.
razor. Not gonna lie, you gotta soak this one for a
Yeah.
while first.
Auction off Jason's dirty palette for charity.
We've done palette sheets of my palette paper auctioned off before.
You can also just donate to charity if you want.
We don't have to do that other
We
one.
don't have to. We can cut out the middleman.
Hey, somebody likes us.
Trimet J. Trim Etch. Thank you for the follow.
That was
Oh, when
awesome.
Jen just kind of like, Chad,
I always have to try a couple different options
Yeah.
when I'm not sure. So earlier we had something about like fish lung. That was easy. This one, a little trickier. I can't quite figure out what word that is.
we had something about fish lungs earlier.
Yeah, I think so.
It was like iron something.
Iron fish lung, maybe?
Yeah.
Lumberjack Tim, I'm not sure what you're asking. Isn't that the one Vince EV made better? No?
Oh, this is the
Gordo
same
said
model
yes.
that he did a conversion for.
The one Jason's painting or the one you're painting?
The one that Jason is painting.
Oh, okay.
Made better. I think he wanted it like the old, not quite as bulky.
Yeah.
I didn't
yeah.
watch the video, but I saw. I like this one. I don't care about any of the lore for the fantasy worlds that GW has made. It's all been really boring. So I've never really paid attention.
Iron lung fish. It's a good joke.
I've been enjoying my read through of Dune
Good.
so far. It actually, because I've read about half of it before, so I'm starting fresh again. And it's actually really nice to have the context of the movie, because there's a lot of things that like I now understand. Like I know who all of these characters are, and I know a lot of the relationships. So it's kind of like reading Dune for the first time, but reading it for the second time. It's very odd, but kind of nice. And I'm sure that there's going to be lots of moments where I'm like, "Oh, that's new. This is very different."
JP,
I
I
mean,
think
there'll be some details from
he's having it read to him.
Villeneuve's that
Are a little different, you know.
are a little different or not. Yeah, I don't know that they'll even be that different. It'll just be stuff that didn't make it into the film,
Mm-hmm.
but none of it's, in my opinion, stuff that really mattered.
No, yeah.
Somebody might say, we talked about Thufir not being in the part 2, which was a little annoying, but
Yeah.
understandable because much like Tom Bombadil, I don't know that you really need him to tell the story.
Yeah.
But there's some interesting stuff in the Harkonnen side. The movie doesn't really give, almost like all of the Dune stuff in the video realm, the Harkonnens don't really get the whole backstory told well enough to show why they are in the position they're in. They're just shown as these big
Bullies.
filthy bad bully guys, right?
Yeah.
But there's a reason in the books as you read why the Bene Gesserit have their bloodline targeted to be part of the future. And so it's a shame that you don't get to see more and learn more about the Harkonnens in the movies. But I don't know, maybe we'll see something. I don't know. It's always just Fat Man floats is the joke, right?
Yeah.
It's
Well, that you make a really interesting point because they don't actually mention why the Harkonnens hate the Atreides.
no,
movie.
and why the Emperor was so adamant to, put the Harkonnens back in power on Arrakis and get rid of the Atreides. You don't know any of that.
Not until the second movie, at least.
Well, you don't even know that then.
Well, the Reverend Mother talks to Irulan about it. She says that she kind of whispered in his ear to make it happen. Because
Yeah, but they don't tell you the whole thing about how
True.
the Atreides had become more powerful than the Sardaukar, and the Emperor was afraid that they were going to lead the Landsraad against the throne.
Mm-hmm.
Because they were getting upset and the throne was making bad decisions and
Yeah.
all that kind of stuff. So you don't
There's-
really get a feel for that. You just get the Bene Gesserit are in control
Yeah.
mentality, and
Yeah.
you don't know why.
There's a lot of political stuff that gets lost.
Yeah.
Which is really cool because I'm having never gotten any of it, and now I'm reading through it. I understand the setting of like why Dune is important, and I have a lot of context for when they're talking about the political stuff, which is cool because it makes a lot of sense when I'm reading through it, which is great.
I concur.
Read the book. It's a good book.
Bakamaru said, how would Monument feel about a hobby night for nerds to all sit and do paint-togethers in Discord? Saw some folks talking about painting get-togethers and thought it might be fun.
I mean,
We already
We've talked
have
about
the-
it a lot, and
have
then
the
nobody
rooms
ever.
there.
It's just not going to be run by us.
Yeah, the
So
rooms
if you
are
guys
already
manage
there.
it, I might even show up, but
The-
I can't fit it into managing amongst all the other stuff that we do because we do this every day.
Coordinate it. There's if you look at the menu of all the different rooms in Discord, there's one that like a whole section called
More like hanging
more
out.
like hanging out, and there are rooms where you can chat, like voice chat and everything. So yeah, have at it.
We're fans. I would love to drop in on that. And we had some people that did it for a
We did
while.
For a while, it was when we were at the old building. For sure, though. Ghost Hunter said, "I'm expecting to see pictures of the fancy Pinkies Out painting party at Adepticon that was discussed previously."
there's a Pinkies Out painting party at Adepticon.
Huh?
I thought maybe this was something that was discussed when I wasn't here. Max over on YouTube wants to know what colors Jason has used on the vampire up to this point. That looks phenomenal for undead flesh.
It's going to blow your mind. It was dark purple as the base coat. So you can see in the shadows all the dark purple. That's pretty much a standard for me. For any kind of fleshy things, dark purple is always the go-to. Over the top of the dark purple, I use the new red oxide, which is one of the colors coming out at Adepticon. It is Adepticon red, right? So the Adepticon signature series red oxide, I put over that. So you're seeing the red is giving it kind of the idea of blood in the veins. And then over the top of that, I did dark hot pink, one of Louise from Rogue Hobbies signature colors. It will also be coming out at Adepticon. And so this is making a very, very odd looking machine at this point, if you can imagine. Then over the top of that, I did, because why wouldn't you, bright green. Right? And the bright green is what's giving me that kind of yellowy, jaundiced feel across the tops of the muscle, the more fatty area. He doesn't really have any fat, so it's a bad way to say it, but you can see this weird green glow in some areas. That's the bright green. And then I finally top that off with just a little bit of bismuth yellow in the high points as kind of some warmth, which is really where you see like that stretch of bismuth there. It's very rare. A little bit on the wrist, a little bit over here. Not much. A little bit on this thigh. Right? That gives it a little bit of warmth from like external lighting.
Max, these colors are not yet available, but they are coming soon. If you're going to be at Adepticon, you'd be able to pick them up. And then after that, they'll be on our website late April, early May.
Then I
And in
have been
stores,
today.
same
I've been
time.
glazing red gray. This is just red gray with glaze wash medium over the top.
This one
So
is available now.
That's what you see over here, right? So on these, that's the red gray glazed over the top of all those odd colors that I just told you. And now what I'm doing is I'm taking another new color from the Adepticon set, which is bright shadow flesh, and I'm glazing bright shadow flesh into the high points. And that's what I've been spending time doing on this thigh right now. So you can see how glazing over your underpainted colors gives you nuanced color that is not exactly what you see here. Right? You wouldn't know that I've even used this color anywhere on this model. It wouldn't be an easy guess. Right? Because when you thin it down and you put it over these base tones, you're going to get something new. I just happen to know that a little bit of warmth over these really cool and loud, base tones is going to give me that really jaundiced, dead, or mostly dead looking flesh. But you can see how thin I am. Like, look at this flesh tone as I go over these other colors on my thumb, right? Not a whole lot of pigmentation going on. So I've probably done 10-to-1 glaze wash, medium, and water to paint to get here.
10x, if you're asking about Jason and Jordan, the answer is no, but I'm sure that there are people in chat who will be entering painting competitions at Adepticon.
Oh yeah, I'm most certainly not.
Player J, we don't do that kind of sampling. So you're just going to have to trust us and know that it is going to be the same quality as all of our other paints. I don't find the guy Jason is painting very trustworthy. Why not? Your children would be fine with him.
No.
Definitely a daycare kind of guy.
Yeah.
No.
No?
No. No.
5 stars on Yelp.
No. Don't do it.
You, Lanu, said, what's the glaze paint ratio you tend to use when painting over flesh for those colors to come through?
That is
Like I said, about 10-to-1 glaze wash medium to paint for these top coats. I've done that both for the red gray, right? And for the flesh tone that I'm using right now, the bright shadow flesh. Both of these are about 10-to-1 glaze medium to paint with a little dash of water in there just to get them to flow, not to be quite as thick. That's a personal preference thing, but
Judging based on appearances, and I feel guilty about it.
is this game delay talking?
Yeah.
Of course.
How did I know?
Of course it is.
It sounds like a game delay conversation.
It's someone Jade would want to hang out with.
I am going to be doing a lot of painting at home for the next until Adepticon. Want to try and get my Legions Imperialis army done.
Oh yeah, you're playing, aren't you? With
Yep.
Will?
Will? Yep. Will Pagani.
Eggy Grip said, I might have spent some time researching how much it would cost to travel to Illinois and get Adepticon tickets just to buy some new paints yesterday. But my wife said we have to pay our rent, so I guess I'll have to wait for the official launch.
Damn rent and food getting in the
Oh,
way.
man.
Adulting. Cordell would like to see Adepticon Red and Bold Pyrrole Red side by side for comparison.
Sure.
Ooh.
And I put up the new orange red in there as well. Orange red is part of Louise's set. Right? So bold pyrrole, right? Red oxide from Adepticon. Orange red, which is a great highlight for bold pyrrole.
Mm-hmm.
And then burnt red. So anybody that
Very nice.
complains about our reds,
Yeah.
you can stop complaining now.
Stop complaining.
We've nailed it. 2 new additions that fill out the range really, really nicely.
Absolutely fantastic additions.
T. Schmidt said, what's Jordan playing? Shatterpoint?
No, Legions Imperialis.
Tiny Tonks.
Tiny Tonks. and slightly larger planes.
Griffin Lerman, what's the mixture that was used on the noosh?
On the noosh, okay, so there's two different mixtures that I'm using right now. The first one that we talked about earlier is a 1-to-1-to-1 mixture of transparent brown, transparent black, and noosh. I specifically went 1-to-1-to-1 because I wanted a much heavier stain. I really wanted to bring the brightness down over the whole model. So I went with a much darker color. And then what I did is I went back, I highlighted back up with the mixture of the bright green and the bismuth yellow, which creates this really, really awesome kind of like acid green almost, which is how I'm getting these like really nice kind of glowy highlights here on the leg and on the forehead and the backpack and things like that. And then I went back in with a mixture of noosh to just brown transparent. This is done by hand. This is not mixed in a container. And I'm adding a little bit more warmth back into the armor with glazes. So that's what I've been doing for the past couple of minutes.
Dano Paints, yes, new colors. We have 2 new Signature Series sets that are going to be released at Adepticon, and another 6 paint set that is an Adepticon set. It's like it's got Adepticon name on it, and yeah.
Think of it as a signature set for their spray team, the guys that do all the painting of the terrain.
Because they do the majority of their terrain painting, I think, with our paint.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, the only colors they don't use are the colors that were in this set.
Yeah. So problem solved. So they will be available at Adepticon if you're going to be there. You can pick them up at the booth. If you're not going to be at Adepticon, then you'll be able to buy them on our website or at your local store if they carry the line. End of April, early May.
Can I snag your bright pale yellow really quick?
Yeah.
I'm waiting on a replacement for mine.
What happened to yours?
They stuck it in the cape. The
And Gulce's, people were, just because, you know, we don't have a lot of paints in the line that have the word red in them.
Oh, that's right. They had to put it in your bag.
Yeah. So I have everything except for that set, but they're
got done last night. Yeah,
yeah.
last thing when Gabe remembered.
Yeah.
They're like, go steal Jordans.
Yep. Here you go. I no longer need it. Thank you so much. I'm using bright pale yellow to do the lens of the helmet here, which is going to be kind of a pain in the butt to get to because it's like right up against its shoulder pad. So we're going to have to be real careful with this.
Cuthbert, it will be released later. Yep, just like the 2 new signature sets, we're doing everything as kind of exclusives at Adepticon, and then all 3 sets will be available on our website after that, for sure.
Yeah, think of it just as an early release.
Yeah.
No need for FOMO or anything like that.
No, everyone will be able to get them if they want them.
We don't do that to you.
Nope.
All of these are real colors, permanent additions to the line. Just a fun way to kind of pre-release them at the show.
Yeah.
Then we go back and sell them to pre-order for all of our retailers.
Mm-hmm. And
distributors, so that stores across the world can get their hands on them. And then when we have got all of the pre-order stuff worked through, then we release it out to the public. Man, I really like this. This was good color choices.
Yeah, that's looking really good. So are you still working with the red gray right now?
No, I've moved off to the bright shadow flesh.
Oh, nice. Yeah, that looks awesome.
Yeah, because bright shadow flesh, when you do it like this, loses just about all of its pinkishness, right? And
Yeah.
it becomes a yellow.
Well, the cool thing
when
too
we thin it down
is shadow flesh and red gray definitely feel like they're in the same kind of like warm level of like hues.
Yeah,
which is kind of cool. So if you wanted like a weird kind of ashen gray undertone for like a shadow flesh, red gray would work for it, which is awesome.
And the chat is correcting you on the we don't do the FOMO thing to you because there's Wizard's Butt. Lumberjack Tim has Wizard's Butt FOMO.
Hey, we're just having fun with Wizard's Butt.
Okay, we do one.
We do one FOMO thing.
Which Ruben yesterday was getting all excited because he's got a bunch of ideas for the next Wizard's Butt color, and he's really mad at me because when he saw all these, he's like, "You stole 2 of my Wizard's Butt."
Oh no!
Ruben, our basically our production manager back there, is the guy who is, comes up. He loves to come up with colors, and so for Wizards, but he's the guy.
And I don't know how to do this name. Muwe said, hold on. Way. Appreciate Monument Hobbies for working with us on this new set. Are you part of the Adepticon spray team? Is that what I'm understanding? Sorry for.
Oh yeah, you part of the
mispronouncing your
Adepticon team? Who is this?
No, we don't want you to consume our paint. Tinex.
Don't eat the paint.
Oh, it's Hank.
Don't need the paint.
Hank?
Oh, that's Hank.
Hello.
What's
that
up,
doesn't
Hank?
spell Hank.
No, it does not. Nice.
Hank's
Nice.
the one to blame. If you love Adepticon, it's Hank's fault.
It's true.
If you hate Adepticon, we'll give you somebody else's name.
It's true. How you doing, Hank? I assume you are kind of busy right now.
Yeah.
T-minus like 7 days, 8 days.
I would have never guessed that pronunciation. Very unique spelling of Hank. T-minus 7 days.
Crazy.
Oh my
Don't tell me
gosh.
that. I just got home.
Well, technically for you, it's longer than 7 days.
Well, yeah. I'm not going until Thursday.
If you love it, talk to Hank. If you hate it, good luck pronouncing that name.
Yeah, exactly. I love glazing with these big beastie number 6s.
Oh my gosh, yeah. I love that number 6. I've been using it a bunch.
Yeah, it's a great brush. Man, I'm liking these colors.
Yeah, seriously.
I tell you what, man, dark hot pink, pale, the bright green, maybe, I mean, good God, all of these bismuth yellow.
I mean, look at how crazy the like bismuth yellow and bright green look like. This is such a cool.
Is that what you're doing right now?
Yeah. So this is more of
Yeah,
that
that green is
bismuth.
amazing.
Yeah.
And that's been a green that's been harder to get with our line without having that bright green, because you had to shift the model to too much yellow almost for your brightness or mix a lot.
Yep.
So very stoked on that. Louise's colors are fantastic. Great additions.
My next project that I'm going to be starting here in just a minute will be using some more of the kind of drab colors that we have out of these new sets. So I'm really excited for that as well. Painting up another plane will be fun. Although I do kind of want to find a second recipe, because I have the one that's that kind of reddish gray, dry brushed up to khaki, and I want to do a different color so the planes are identifiable by color. I don't know, Jason, if you have any cool ideas for plane colors.
Tail art.
Tail art?
Yeah, do the tail art. Tail and nose art is what defines them. They're all the same color, and then you just do the tail art differently.
Okay.
Comic Traver, what are the new sets? When do they come out? They will be pre-released
18.
or early release, I guess you'd call it, at Adepticon for attendees of the show. There are 18 new colors.
18, not 16. 18 colors.
Yeah, the browns are spectacular. The sets are...
There's so many options.
I will
too.
show you once again. Every 15 or 20 minutes, we'll
Yeah.
do this. Right? We had
If you didn't
a
see our
hero,
posts yesterday.
not the hero we deserve, but the hero we need for sure, who took screenshots of yesterday's stream and posted them up in Discord, so you can also find pictures of all these. We did a set with the wonderful Flame On Miniatures, Mashik, and his is a non-metallic gold set, but along with that gives you some tremendous browns. The dark green brown to start with. We have dark orange brown,
Surely so, Jeremiah.
caramel
See
brown,
them right now.
orange brown. So there you go. Tons
I
and
really
tons
like
of
that
browns.
orange brown.
Bright yellow ochre
It's a cool color.
and bright pale yellow. All of these are fantastic. So basically this provides you with a fantastic way to do really, really good non-metallic gold in a tremendous amount of ways. You've got a good dark base, a really good selection of browns that then start trending into more and more warmth as you go, with the ability with the caramel brown kind of goes like this, right? And then you start giving your gold glow right outside the highlights.
Right, Walking Harder, it's good. My eye keeps going to it.
Then the amazing Adepticon set, which starts with Adepticon Red or Red Oxide. Then we have Orange Oxide, which is basically like rust in a bottle. It's amazing. Magnesium, another new metallic color that is the metal that is over there on Jordan's Marine.
Yep.
Satin Black, which is the black that's on the shoulder plates there. A deeper black than coal black because it is satin. Drab Brown, just a really good military color. And then the color that I'm glazing with right now, which is Bright Shadow Flesh. So a really, really good set there. All very, very usable colors in the darker spectrum and then the brighter flesh tone. But these dark colors are just fantastic. You'll find yourself using, I think, every single one of these quite often. And then, to top it all off, we have the wonderful Rogue Hobbies, Louise, with her signature set, which starts off with another wonderful edition of Orange Red. We've been using Orange Red as a highlight. It's basically what I've done all of my Blood Angels with, is I would mix Orange Red and then what we call Eclectic Salmon. By adding warm flesh to Orange Red, you get this highlight color. And so you can create really, really amazing reds very, very quickly.
Happy Bright.
Get highlights that don't move you either towards pink or pure orange with a color like this. Then Dark Hot Pink, because Louise. And fast becoming a color I would not believe would be my favorite color, but it is.
What?
Ultramarine, a pure pigment, single pigment ultramarine, along with a single pigment bismuth yellow. Fantastic colors. Bright green. And last but not least, and this one's a doozy, the dark turquoise.
Oh.
Just a fantastic set. I think Louise's set is the best looking set we've ever released. Just from start to finish, it's just a great looking set. You know, there's something about primary colors when put together that just make you feel fun and lively. It's what those colors do the most, I think, emotionally for people.
It's like how
outside
I feel
of like
about
really
the,
drab dark colors that would get you moody. These are the best at uplifting, but
the
they're not.
fluorescent set is the same for me.
But they're not play school. They're not
Right.
plastic toy colors.
Yeah.
They all have their nuance
really
to where
high
it's not
quality.
just RGB, right? These are great. So.
Surprised at Rogue Hobbies is she's quite a new channel, but she's not a new figure in the hobby.
She'd been around
Louise is
for,
such a great personality, and when she was working at GW and became kind of one of the main faces along with Peachy for the painting stuff, plus she worked at Forge World doing a lot of the graphics and the books, and was maybe known more internally and to people that were in that Forge World realm. And when she left, we knew immediately. Like, I reached out to her immediately and said, hey, if there's ever a way we could work together, let us know. And she wound up getting some of our paints and playing with them and fell in love with them and was using them on a stream one day without us even knowing. And then we said, hey, you know, what do you want to do? And she goes, I want to sit. And so, great.
Walking Harder is a good question. How many of these colors were colors they specifically wanted versus colors you planned on doing and gave to the artist for their set?
So, you know, what happens is that people will look like Satin Black. Adepticon wanted a black. We already had Satin Black, so that was a no-brainer. All of these are Mashik's colors with my influence to get them to fit into the line better, because some of the colors he came out with originally were very similar to colors we already had, like golden brown, things like that. So to come up with a bright yellow ochre that sits outside of golden brown and then working those. So I dial them in to fit the line. But all of these are his colors. These were not any of them that we had already planned. The black is the only one that we had already planned here, and it fit. They wanted a black anyway. And then with Louise, all of these colors were colors that she had. If you look, she has a chart of how she went about deciding what were her favorite colors. And we had to, again, look at them and adjust them for the range. Because a lot of the colors she wanted, well, not a lot, but a few of the colors that she wanted were already represented. So we needed to say, okay, what if we dial this way? Like the ultramarine, she wanted a bright blue. But I said, well, we have ultramarine, and it kind of fits that slot. And she was on board. The bismuth yellow is a no-brainer. These are two that we had already planned on coming out with, but boom. And then the rest are brand new, right? Orange red is one that I had been mixing, but it's a color that she loves. And so it was on her sheet, and it was an easy one. That's just, sometimes it just clicks. It falls into place because I've been painting from my mixed bottle of orange red for a long time. And you can see I even changed the formula up a hair. Well, it's not going to tell you that much, but
close.
It's almost exactly what I've been using for a long time. So, but the thing is, in art, while you can mix 256 million colors, the reality is that 251.9 million of those are all the same, right? So when we look at it, we're really looking for things that are juxtapositions of colors we already have and fit the line really well, or dark or bright versions of colors that we have that sell very well. So yeah, these are all ones that the artist did and love. The fact that we had already gotten to the point where we knew what we wanted to do with them and didn't have, these are single pigments, so I don't even have to do any work, right? Those are just make them. Satin black, same thing. So the 3 colors that are not colors that we have to really do anything because they're all single pigment colors, other than working out the satin.
Goobertown Hobbies, hello.
What's up,
So
Goobertown?
those colors are looking good.
You're doing your nails with her colors for
I love
Adepticon?
this. Oh, thank you. You too.
That would be so funny.
Shelby and I have been talking about it. She's like, I'm thinking about doing that. I was like, you should just use her colors.
Totally need to do that.
Do you put orange red with the oranges or the reds in your rack? Yes. The reds.
In the middle.
The reds. The way that we name most of our colors, there are some that fall outside of this, is that the leader, the orange part, and then the red part, it's the second color that is the family it's in, and the first color is the hue shift that we do, the added color, right?
Where'd it go?
Like
Carson
gray blue
82
is gray added to blue, but it would go in blues, not grays.
Carson 82 said, any chance you'll be a U.S. supplier for Rogue Hobbies Goblin Town minis?
We have been speaking with her on that. We may. We'll see. No
fun.
promises. No promises. They're a fledgling company, so the big thing to worry about there is production capability.
Yeah.
So
Baby J, these bright green highlights don't look bright enough, so I'm making the rest of the model black. 3 new signature series. Yes, that is correct. Chaotic Painting.
Yep, 2 from Direct Artists, and then the Adepticon set with Hank and his team goes towards helping to fund an Adepticon community fund. I don't know if I have the exact name. If Hank's still here, he can tell us. But it helps outreach from Adepticon to help members of the community and community programs and things like that. So it's a great thing to be a part of. We love Hank and his team. They use Pro Acryl to paint all their terrain. And they only had a few spots left open with colors that we didn't make, so we made them.
Lumberjack Tim would like to know how the orange-brown looks compared to flesh tones.
What do you mean compared to flesh tones?
I can pull that out real quick.
It would be a great adder for flesh tones.
Oh, I don't have orange brown.
But we don't have any flesh tones that are even in this neck of the woods,
Yeah,
right?
it's not very
All of our flesh tones dwell mainly in the world of pinks and a little bit of yellow. Like if you look at advanced flesh tone, oh no, that's going on.
The closest thing you'll get is going to be our dark warm flesh, but that's still
Not
already.
even, yeah. That's, I mean,
It's the most yellow of our skin tones, and this has a lot more red in it.
Hank said it's the Adepticon Staff Memorial Foundation.
there you go.
Camel Driver, how many production lines do you have, and what is the output per line per day? How long does it take to change from one color to another?
We currently have 3. 1 is brand new and still getting up to speed, so we have 2 functional lines on a daily basis, and we only run a Monday to Friday, and we don't expose numbers.
And
How long does it take to change from one color to another? Probably about 15 to 20 minutes. Production may yell at me for that. It may be more like 30. But I think it's like 15 minutes. That varies depending on if you just did a dark color and are switching to a light color, then it extends that cleaning time.
Sapo, the Adepticon set will be available after Adepticon. Yes. Late April.
Jordan, you
early
need to be
May.
careful painting this marine this well, this fast. People might think you could have done the Reach model with some yellow ochre and a noosh wash.
I mean, to be fair, I kind of did the Reach model with like 8 to 10 colors total. I didn't use a whole lot of colors on the Reach model.
The Crimson Chapperling, thank you for the follow.
But I'll make a note. Game delay.
Oh, and Sapo, no, the Adepticon packaging is what you're going to get. So that's it. And all of our labels are moving to just the M in the center from the current monument that you see. So all of our labels will be moving to this design in the future. Just a small design change we wanted to do because the contrast of the Pro Acryl and the outline has always bugged me. So
I really
go to
like
something
the new
that's more
design.
befitting of the brand.
Very cool new design change.
JP Gray, we've already talked about this. It's not for sale.
Which one?
It's the salamander.
Oh,
$10.
Whoa.
$10. I mean, sure. If he wants to
Jordan-
sell it for $10, I'm
Jordan
down.
paints models 28 millimeter troops
Oh, who's
for
this,
$5.
Whose is this?
And you got to pay $5 for the model.
Whose model is that, Jordan?
It's the studio's.
It's ours.
Oh.
It's not mine.
Well,
Just
you
started
said if
using
he
your
wants
primer.
to sell
Notice
it,
it's
I thought maybe it was
semi-easy to
another
scratch and peel.
film.
Any tips on sealing
Oh,
a
no.
paint job for heavy table use, Mitch? Well, your paint is going to seal the model in better. The primer is only there to give tooth to the next layer, and as you add another layer, your base layer locks everything together, so you're fine. As far as like peeling off at the end of painting, a good matte varnish coat is going to be the best thing that you can do. You're never going to, for sharp edges and stuff, ever really be able to do much for heavy wear. But our paint is very heavy duty when you get it all on the model, for sure.
Iggy Grip, have we thought about doing gloss versions of our washes? We have a gloss varnish. Would that be the same?
Yeah, the gloss varnish is what you use there.
Hey, Jason, do you happen to have yellow and orange fluorescent over there that I could steal?
T. Schmid, what color will it be?
Mine seem to be missing for some
Maybe they got packed up too?
No.
No?
No. Because
In
I
your case?
no the I packed my case. It's got everything in it. But I didn't pull them from here. They were already in the case. So maybe I
Can't
pulled
trust
them
it. With
originally.
these two people over in this office right now, our stuff just grows legs.
It's true.
Freaking Gabe.
That's extra steps, and I'm lazy, but thanks.
Eggy grip.
Appreciate your
Yeah, we have
honesty.
to look at it from a perspective of, again, it may seem odd, but if we don't use a thing all the time, we rarely want to make it. And that seems weird, and I get it. But a gloss wash is not anything I would use.
Glossy wash. Interesting.
Yeah, like in order to get the noosh to operate the way we wanted to, it's more satiny than I wanted it because the matte additive changed the properties of the formula. So we couldn't matte it down the way we wanted to. So we pushed it as far as we could. It has a little bit of a sheen to it. And so matte varnish which is coming soon from us. When we have the matte varnish, I would always spray a model down with matte, or you add gloss to the current washes and you can get it. You got to be careful adding it to washes though. You probably want to do the wash and then do the varnish. I don't know that I would mix varnish and wash together. It's going to change the properties of the wash. So just wash the model with a matte wash and then varnish the areas with gloss varnish that you need, either with a brush or airbrush. Really simple. Doesn't really take any extra time.
A couple of questions came in right kind of at the same time about a matte varnish. And yes, we will have a matte varnish. Do we have a timeline
An ETA, it's next up.
next up?
Once all of these releases are out, these 18 colors, matte varnish is next, along with some other really exciting stuff. We've got a kind of early summer paint release that I think is going to jazz a portion of the community up a lot.
Oh, I know what that is. I think I know what that is.
They were all over my desk a while back.
Yep, I know what those are.
You use way too much gloss brown wash from GW.
Do they make gloss washes?
Yeah.
Oh, they do, don't they?
Yeah.
Oh.
Resin poisoning, one of our signature sets is with Rogue Hobbies.
It most
Who is a
certainly
female
is.
painter. And we are a woman-owned company.
She owns the company, so you don't ever have to worry about our
Yeah.
attention there.
You can let
As a matter of
people-
fact, with
let
the
people
signature
know in
sets,
your comments.
one in 6 signature set is more representative of women in the hobby than the hobby is.
Probably.
But yeah, it's really just, we don't really think of it that way. We think of it in terms of artists that we're already close friends with and that would love to have their own colors. So the Slow Fuse military model color range. We thought about military colors. That's a tough one, right? Because we're not a company that wants to make 300 colors. And that's a world where people want the exact IDF gray
Yeah, it's
with
gotta be
this
the same.
catalog number on it. and you can't really tell them, oh, just mix this IDF color with this German color and
They
get it.
won't
They're
like
like,
it.
no, that's
No.
not the way it works. So that's a tough one, right? That's a tough one.
There are probably paint companies that are really, really good at doing that, right? Making those military colors.
Well, yeah, Vallejo Model Color has got like 300 colors in it, 273 last time I checked, that are like all of those catalog colors for big nations. But we've thought about doing like what I believe are the top colors for a couple of like, U.S., British, German, and then maybe like Japanese, because those
Are the ones you see the most.
well, and they have a very different color base. So maybe we do something like that. But little stuff like IDF and French and all that, they're really just reuses of other colors. But people want to know that they have that color chip from that thing that was really scanned that way.
Yeah.
And it's like,
Yeah.
I mean, it's the same. This
Game
is the same
Delay-
as this color.
Game Delay said I thought the Rogue Hobbies range was the military range. If I were in charge of the military,
Oh, yeah.
it would be.
Yeah, Louise's colors are definitely the military colors, Dark hot pink, big with the allies.
Big with the allies.
JP Gray wants a green that is radioactive and makes him glow.
I mean, if you mix
Hey, shush.
bright
Careful.
green.
Said he makes him glow.
Makes him
Oh,
glow.
no,
No.
don't eat it.
Don't eat the paint. Don't
Or-
eat the paint.
He almost fell
Don't
for
eat the
that,
paint.
JP.
Where would our matte varnish line up with compared to something like Ammo by MIG Ultra Matte? It'll be an Ultra Matte varnish. It'll be the same matte level as our paints. Anything more than that is kind of useless and also very hard to freeze thaw control. That's why a lot of those Ultra Mattes don't last very long, because they are hard to mix back up once they settle.
Oh, yeah.
And if they ever even slightly get to freezing, they're toast.
I used to have a bottle that happened to. I'd used it maybe once. And it was just like completely dead.
Can you scroll back up? There was a question that I saw that we missed that jumped into my head, and matte varnish will be airbrush friendly, yes, just like our gloss varnish. Are there other colors that you had that were already single pigments? Lots. And like the transparent line, all besides brown. The brown has a slight bit of yellow in it, but not enough to make a difference. But all the transparents are single pigment. Black, white, pyro red, for all intent and purpose, is single pigment. Tons of the other colors are as well. But when we talk about single pigment paints, the reason that's important in and amongst acrylics is that most people make their paints in what we call the CMYK method. So most hobby paints are made like house paint. And so in order to get, because you can go to Home Depot and get 50 bajillion colors, right? But they're all made from the same CMYK paints. So they have concentrated pigment in the machine, and then they put a clear or white base, depending on what you're going for, eggshell or whatever, right? You get the medium in a can, and you just go pick up, if you look at the paint in Home Depot, 90% of it is colorless base.
Yep.
With just being eggshell, satin, gloss, whatever. What?
We have a Rogue Hobbies in chat.
A Rogue Hobbies.
Rogue Hobbies.
Well, hello!
Hi.
But so if you've ever done that, that's the example that I use the most, because most people are familiar with how to get your house colors made. If you go to Sherwin-Williams, you go to Home Depot, Lowe's, that's how they all make their paint, right? Because that's the easiest method to get any color. And you can get 256 bajillion colors out of it, and they're great. The problem with that mixing method is that those colors are not the best way to have colors that you intend to mix with each other, because every color is made from the same 5 pigments, right? Cyan, magenta, yellow, white, and black. That's it. Okay. And so when you have that as your base, you can get any color and any shade, but what you're going to have a problem with is mixing with other colors. And so that creates this kind of, I don't want to call it a wives' tale or urban legend in acrylic paints, that if they're not single pigment, they don't mix well, right? But that's kind of the way hobby paints work. Everybody, when they're using acrylics, tends to be told that, hey, make sure you use as many single pigment colors as you can, because, if you're not, they mix into mud. Well, that's because of the CMYK mixing that most hobby companies use, right? And so when you deal with companies like ourselves or Chimera, right? Some of the scale color stuff that are built by artists for artists, we don't start with the CMYK mixing method. We mix greens with a base green pigment. We mix browns with a base brown pigment, right? Our greens don't start with blue and yellow. which can cause you a problem when you start mixing them with other colors, because if that other color has a tint towards blue or yellow, you might see your color start migrating towards that heavy intensity color, because you'd have to understand concentration of pigment at that point, which nobody does when you're mixing paint. You're just like, I want green to mix with red, and I get this. And some people might say, well, why do I get this purplish brown when I mix my green and my red when this should really give me something different? And you'll find that that's the case. But with our paints, you don't have to worry what single pigment and not. They will all mix and give you the color you expect out of them. If you were to look on a chart of what this kind of red would do when mixed with this kind of blue, that's the color you'll get with Pro Acryl. Even from paints, I have paints that have 7 pigments in them. Not gonna lie, right? You would never know, because you'll use it, it'll mix, it'll flow, it'll do everything you want it to do exactly as if it were a single pigment color. But some of those colors just don't have a single pigment. You know, we'd love to make every color in single pigment, but there are a lot of pigments that don't want to be in an aqueous suspension, which is what liquid acrylics are. There are certain pigments that just won't work in a water base. They're only built for oils, and so we just can't even use them, right? And so we have to make them on our own.
I'm trying to if you have a question in chat, we will get to it. We had a lot of
Lots of questions today.
coming in today. Eggy Grip wants to know when we're going to have the blackest black in the universe. We're not going to be part of that.
Nah, we're not part of that. You can go fight amongst those two people that argue that they started it first. Those paints are really crazy to use. They're neat for terrain and neat kind of effects like that, like making a portal that looks like a black hole. I really love them for that, but I've used them, and those guys have sent us paint before, and I'm like, this is horrible.
Just doesn't
can't airbrush it. It's garbage. It's not meant to be paint that you paint anything small with. Not saying that you couldn't. It's just really weird, gritty, thick.
Well, the thing is, it's an unnatural, black. Like, you're painting a surface when you're painting your model, right?
Yeah.
So light is going to reflect off that surface, and if you're painting it with a black that doesn't reflect light,
that's why it's for effects like portals and weird stuff like that.
Yeah.
Is there going to be a matte varnish? Yes. Is there a reason you don't put the pigment codes on the bottle? Yes. Proprietary information at that point, because of the fact that we don't mix with CMYK like everybody else. The few people that might want to start using artist pigments to mix their paints, we don't want to give them the easy road to understanding how to achieve a color with base pigments. They need to work for it on their own.
Crimson Trapperling, for the signature series, do the artists usually have an idea already that fits in the line, or does it take some back and forth?
Well, the artists, we always ask the artists what they'd like to do. They present us. I ask the artist point blank, like Louise is in here, so she can kind of tell you. I say, hey, we want something that represents you and that you feel like are colors that are, ones you'd be proud to have be yours, and that people would recognize you for using, and that you would go to all the time. And I typically start that with, what do you find yourself either having to mix, or that some company that you used to use doesn't make it anymore? Because a lot of the hobby companies churn their color lines very quickly. And so that's where I start, and I leave it up to them, and I say, give me some swatches, and let's go from there. I don't ever start with, hey, here are the holes in our line, make something work. We do it the reverse. So they come up with colors. Like Louise gave me a sheet that had, 48 or 50 different color swatches on it, that as she was working through tints, tones, and shades of a lot of colors that she loved. And so I looked at that and kind of went around and picked and said, okay, working backwards from her choices, what fits in the line the best? What colors can we take and move a little darker or a little brighter, or change the hue just a little bit to make them fit if we have other colors that are too close? Because what we don't want to do is provide you with colors that are very similar that we just slap somebody else's name on. We want them to be unique colors for the line. And it's always worked. Everybody really, when we're only talking about 6 colors, it becomes easy, but it becomes more difficult. That's why we can't do signature lines with everybody under the sun that we would love to do it with, because eventually you just start recreating colors.
Christopher Williams wants to know if you can brush on our varnishes.
Yes, most definitely.
Yep.
Most definitely. There's a Goobs in here?
Yeah, he's been here for a while. I said that a long
What's up, Goobs? What's happening, Brent? Gonna see you at the show? Phil's like, I know, I'm kind of a big deal.
Phil is a big deal.
You want to know more about the single pigment paints in your set? Definitely. Yep. I will sit on a call with you anytime, Louise.
Ooh.
Well, as long as I'm in town.
Extreme got a beautiful periwinkle mixing faded plum and faded ultramarine.
Oh, I can see that happening. Yep.
Pretty. I don't know.
Isn't it just carbon nanon tubes as a pigment? What? Resin poisoning. What are you talking about? Are you talking about simple or GSW? What do you mean? When I talk about people using CMYK paints, pretty much everybody.
A lot.
A lot of the factories that make hobby paints are house paint factories for their primary usage. They make larger volume acrylics and make them for the construction world. Doesn't mean they're bad. They're great quality paints.
Oh, fun. Captain Mannerings is excited to get the Rogue set. I have the first Gobbo, who I think I will do with that set.
Awesome.
Nice.
Very cool.
Awesome.
I think this guy is
Town will be at
done.
Adepticon.
Good, Goobs. Who has been the hardest color you've released to get right? Oh,
What?
Well, that's a good question.
Gabe, you hush.
I don't have a very good memory. I can remember out of the three that are coming up, I can kind of remember what the hardest ones were to get right. The dark green brown is one of the hardest colors. It took the better part of a day of me working with pigment to get this one right. The drab was pretty tough, and the flesh tone was pretty tough for Adepticon. These two. I would say out of this set, those were the three that were the most difficult. Louise's were the easiest, and that might just be because I was having so much fun making such bright paints. It's weird, and I don't want to seem cliche, but I was having a lot of fun, and things were just clicking. And making those bright, vibrant colors when they just punched, I was like, done, you know? And so that was a lot of fun. In the past, the Dark Sea Ben was pretty rough to get it to be different enough. So we had to push it a tad more green. So there was a lot of back and forth with Ben on that one. So it wasn't that it was necessarily difficult to get the pigment right. It was difficult to get it where the artist wanted it in a suitable manner to fit into the line too. Because he went in with a very specific case. It was very similar to something we already had. So we had to be careful there, right? Because it's kind of like just a slight variation off of Payne's gray. So we had to shift it a little further than that. So but it wound up working great. Other than that, I don't know. I mean, when you've done it enough, you know, putting pigment together, it kind of starts making sense in a wild science way.
Goobertown said carbon nanotubes instead of carbon black.
Oh, I don't know what you're. I'm not familiar with carbon nanotubes. We use carbon black.
How did we manage?
It's one of the only non-synthetic pigments we use.
And a business at the same time. We took one day off and let our employees.
We did only take one day
We
off.
took one day off and we let our employees do their thing on their own. While
Oh
we
yeah,
were gone.
Phil's right. Khaki was the absolute hardest color to make.
Oh,
that is
khaki
true.
Was rough.
That is true.
Yeah.
Khaki in the line so far, not just in signature colors, but in the line so far, khaki was the hardest, and that's because I couldn't get comfortable with where I wanted khaki to fit in a color space between yellows, browns, and greens. Right? It was the hardest one because I just didn't. Every time I look at it, I go, "It's not right." And I'd say, "This is what I need," and I'd make it, and I'd be like, "That's also not right." You know. Sometimes you can't tell because every time I mix up a paint, I have to paint it on a model to see the finished product. And sometimes I look at it on the palette and where I've been mixing and in the cup, it looks perfect. I put it on the model next to other colors, and I'm like,
yeah.
I had in mind something different, you know? Even though it's the exact same colors on the palette, it's just paint looks different when it's not on a three-dimensional space. And that's what a lot of people miss when making colors, is that the color looks great. You think it's what you want. You put it on the model, and you're like, you know, because it bends with light and shadow and all that, so it influences it. Xrian says they will not answer that. Yeah, we don't. My mom taught me if you don't have anything nice to say, don't say anything at all.
Can't wait to make my sig color. Great shame gray.
Great shame gray.
Shame gray.
Make
Thank
it more sea-like.
This drab brown is awesome.
Isn't it great? Look at that. It's such a great color. It's like a weird military color that is my version of what the U.S. lieutenant jackets look like in World War II.
Yeah.
You know?
It's
one of my
gives
favorite colors
military
ever. They
vibes.
had like that drab green pant, and then they had that color, that kind of olivey brown.
Yeah.
I didn't want to call it olive drab because it's not green enough for olive drab.
It's definitely more brown.
It's drab
sure.
brown.
Yeah.
It's believe it or not, Pantone did a deal where they had one of their colors, and I can't remember what it was, 866 or 867 Pantone. One of the Pantone colors was voted the worst color on the planet, and it's that color.
Oh, really?
So I nearly
That's so funny.
called it Pantone 866 or whatever the number was.
You should put it in the little side thing.
Yeah, we were going so fast with labels, we had to get them made. We don't have any of the funny stuff on these labels, but we'll add them later. But yeah, so that Pantone color was the worst, voted by human beings to be the most god-awful color. And it got news reports about being the worst color. They changed it to call it some sort of drab, maybe olive drab or something. They changed the name of it, but it wound up being like the worst color on the planet. And that's that color. Like legit, the worst color may be a shade darker than that, but that's the color. When I mixed it up and everything, and I was just going around the internet looking at what to call it because I couldn't figure out a name for it because it wasn't olive drab. I was like, is there such thing as just drab? And I looked up drab, and that's what showed me the world's worst color. It looked, I don't remember what people called it, like
funny.
donkey vomit or something. There's all sorts of weird names for it.
If you have a question in chat, we are working through them.
Oh, sorry,
there's a
we're
lot
backed up.
today.
I'm talking a lot.
Walrus Eater, the new Signature Series paints will be available first at Adepticon. So if you're going to Adepticon, you can come to the booth and get there early. And
Yeah,
you can
get there
buy them.
early.
And then after Adepticon is over, we'll give a little bit of time for stores to get them in stock, and then we'll be releasing them on our website at the end of April, beginning of May, probably.
Captain Mannerings, yes. The caramel brown is a fantastic kind of deserty camo color, as well as all the other ones. The
what I'm
orange
using
brown.
right now, by the way.
Fantastic stuff.
Christopher Williams wants to know if dark khaki is in the lineup, or is one of the new paints formulated for that?
We don't have a dark khaki yet. That is something that I have on my list of things that might make the main line. We only have 18 more slots in the main line, so I got to be very selective. And with these new browns that have come out, I think you'll find that a lot of them will act as great bases for khaki. So sometimes I don't make a dark and a light version of a color if by shifting hue a little bit better, you get an even better highlight or shadow for it.
The drab brown would work very well as a base for khaki, by the way.
Yeah, exactly.
Is khaki a 7 pigment paint?
Is that one of your set? No, it's not. No, the hard ones are not always the ones with the most pigment. Sometimes those are the easiest.
Sell UCC, when do we get zinc white for glazing?
You already have it, transparent white. It's a pure single pigment zinc white. We already took care of you there. Incoming Pantone lawyers. Yeah, that's the drab. Great fatigue and dark to your off screen. But yeah, now he's putting on, what are you using right now?
Caramel.
Caramel brown over the drab brown. Yeah, for military colors, they're fantastic. Between Flame On and Adepticon set, you get a tremendous amount of flexibility for drab browns and military colors out of that. Stuff that you could add like camo green into and get fantastic olives.
Yep. That would make for a great wash on this, actually, afterwards.
Hank says, I'm biased, but that's a great color.
I'm biased, but that's a great color.
Chaotic. They're all amazing colors. This is one of the
excited for
strongest groupings of colors we've released in a long time.
Yeah, they're really, really, really good.
All right, caught up.
Just gotta
Wasted Mind, it'll be late April, early May, if you haven't heard us say that yet. The paint with the most stuff that goes into it is Wizard's Butt.
That's true. Because Wizard's Butt is a second level mix where we take remnants of other paints that we've mixed, pour them together, and make Wizard's Butt. So you could have Wizard's Butt with like, I don't know. Well, that's not true. You're not going to have like a 15 pigment color. That would just look like mud. But yeah, Wizard's Butt we don't mix from raw pigment. We do it from mixed colors.
It is 345.
Well, let's keep going through questions.
That's it. We're
we're at the bottom.
Yep.
We caught up.
Caught up.
Okay, if we missed any of your questions, I apologize. Please ask them again.
We got real busy there. So they were scrolling real fast. If we missed a question, sorry. Please type it again. I'm embarrassed. I'm about to hit enter. Game delay. You're the best.
Oh, Game Delay, you're definitely our people.
Yeah.
Mr. Delay.
Never
Tell
change.
Mrs. Delay we're
Mr.
happy that
Delay,
she lets you
Esquire.
hang out with us. Oh, GSW or Simple. I think it was Stuart. Is it Stuart Simple? Is that his name? I want to say it was the guy whose name is attached to it. Green Stuff World is not even in the equation there. There's Simple, and then there's the other one that were the two people fighting that they had created it, right? GSW is an also ran. They probably buy one of those, but the both of them were really bad. Too thick, too textury, too gimmicky for us to really worry about, right? Not that they're bad. Like I said, I think they have a lot of really great uses in the hobby, especially for terrain and effects. It's just not something that I think would be, I would not really use it much, and I don't really like to make stuff that you won't be able to come on here and say, hey, can you show me how to use this? And I don't get excited about it. So. You did a Sophia Nygaard and came up with Wizard's Butt. Who's that?
Some YouTube person, I think.
Oh, he tried to copyright it, and Simple took offense. That's where all that started from, so you? Gotcha. Yeah, I don't know the backstory on it. I just know that we got 2 sent to us, and the first one was from, I think, Simple. Maybe. And then the other people saw us using it and talking about it and sent us a sample to use. It, believe it or not, they're still in the office someplace. I doubt they'd work. Because we're talking about the dawn of them when they were... One of them did like a Kickstarter.
Resin poisoning, I don't think we need it. Said I'll bring you a bottle of GSW if you make sure to hold back a set of paints on Wednesday.
No. We'll pass.
We're good.
Oop.
We got plenty of paint here.
Hold back a set of paints on Wednesday. Oh, at Adepticon? If you're there on Wednesday, if you can get into the show, well, we'll be setting up the booth on Wednesday. It opens Thursday at like 10 o'clock, right?
Yep.
10 a.m. Thursday.
Yep.
I would expect the line to be real.
Yeah.
Last year, we didn't really have... I mean, we had the John and Vince signature colors had launched the 2 months before.
January.
Yeah, did we even have
And the
any
line was out the
brand
door.
new?
Yep.
Like,
And
the
the
line went
washes
from
were
our
still
booth
relatively
all
new.
the way up the aisle, pissed off a bunch of people, and up to where you entered into the hall,
It's true.
right? Sell you, yeah. Yeah, Jordan has been had been painting some, what are they called? The Conquest models you're painting? What was the faction?
Oh, the
Nick
undead
Pyre,
guys.
The
Okay.
Undead Romany guys.
Yeah.
Did you fall asleep on your keyboard, Nick?
Nick Pye, oopla. That's the sound I make when I fall out of my chair. Oopla.
Do you make a habit of that, Jason? I hope not.
Oh, Sophia Nygaard does YouTube videos and often mixes lots of things together. Candles, makeup. Oh, that's funny. That's great. Wizard's Butt was just a joke we made during one of our commercials, and then we made it as a color. It's actually a really, really good color. It's kind of
so good.
scary. I used it quite a bit in one of the last paint jobs that I did. Oh, I gave it to Scott.
Gave it
The
away?
origin of Wizard's Butt, by the way,
I gave Scott my bottle of Wizard's Butt. I thought that was the right thing to do.
shown in our, like, on our, if you come to
Do you have one?
Twitch, to our
I do.
Twitch page when we're not streaming.
It's in my office. Yeah, I don't have it there.
If you come to our Twitch page when we're not streaming, the video that you see is where Wizard's Butt comes from.
Yeah.
It's also on our YouTube.
Old Dominion, you got it. Yeah.
Old Dominion. There we go.
What are the chances you could get a box of 18 paints with if you sent a bunch of pie? I mean, it depends on the quality of the pie, Nick.
Yeah.
We'll talk offline because we don't want to make anybody else mad, and we don't need that much pie.
Definitely
Because everybody will
don't need
start
that
shipping
much
us pie. I was told that you liked pie. I would like to trade you some pie for some colors.
We just hold a pie competition.
That's
And
what
whoever
happens when your
wins-
cat jumps claws on your...
We also can't pay bills with pie, so we do need to sell paint.
I don't know.
Yes.
We haven't ever asked.
I've asked.
Jen's like, I got you covered.
asked.
Trust me.
Jen's like, I have asked. Can we pay our mortgage in anything other than money? Because we have a lot of other things. Game delay, you want a bottle of Wizard's Butt? I gave mine to Scott, to Miniac.
I think Game Delay has a bottle of Wizard's Butt.
Oh. Did you get one? What about pizza
Maybe.
pie? Man, I ate so much pizza yesterday and the day before.
Wait, really?
Jen and I went out for pizza because I wanted that Detroit pizza. So we went to Doughbird and got Detroit pizza
Oh, yeah.
night before last. and we had leftovers that we didn't bring to the office, and so you and I got pizza because pizza sounded really good.
I
Yeah.
thought you weren't getting pizza because you had pizza.
He didn't have pizza, so
I didn't have pizza, so we got pizza.
No, I thought you weren't getting pizza for lunch because you had pizza the night before.
Right. I don't know that I ever said that. He was asking where I wanted, and he mentioned mod, and I go, that sounds really good.
Oh.
So I have mod in the fridge here, and then I had pizza leftovers last night. So that was like 3 meals of pizza in a row, and that was a lot.
Well, there you go.
I'm kind of done with pizza for a while.
Pizza does sound pretty good because I did not have pizza yesterday.
You'd be a slightly happier person than you are. That's impossible, by the way. I can't imagine
you
a
asked
happier
him if he
game
wanted
delay.
mod and then you didn't get it?
No. Hold on. For clarification, I asked if he wanted mod / Jersey Mike's because they're literally right next to each other.
Yes.
So I went in, I ordered his and Shelby's pizzas, and then I
he
walked
went to
next
Jersey
door.
Mike's?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't realize that.
Yeah. Well, because so Kyle and I and
Yeah, you
Brendan
probably got
got
a few
Jersey
things
Mike's.
to do, Hank. Thanks for stopping by.
yeah, thanks for stopping by. It's good to see you.
I won't see you, but these guys will see you.
Hank, you have colors coming to you in the refill order.
Yeah. And I think that shipped today.
And some bags, right?
Some bags.
And some bags.
Yep.
So
Your
let me
order's
know as soon as
coming
you
your
get them. Phil, there's a leftover mod in one of the fridges in there. You can have mine.
Did he just say it sounds good?
He said
did.
pizza sounds good right now. You can take that mod home. I'm
Yeah.
not going to eat it.
Or you could go to Dober because it was really good.
I'm contemplating some
you,
whatchamacallit, my favorite place around here. It is
Don't know.
oh, what's it called? Why is my brain not working?
What kind of food is it?
Pizza.
Oh.
Barrows. There we go.
Oh, Barrows?
I like Barrows. I know you don't like Barrows.
You
I
still
know.
have terrain that needs painted? Come on. You're killing yourself. You're saying too many yeses, Hank. You and I need to sit down and need to tell you how to say no. Just not to me, but anybody
Just
other than me.
not to me.
Anybody other than me.
You're not allowed to say no to anybody, to me, but you can say it to anybody else.
And hey, Hank, can you tell Shelly I'm really sorry?
Just because. I'm just sorry.
Well, because I'm causing lots of problems right now because I don't think I registered any of our badges for the show. Yeah, it's kind of important.
So the booth will be there, but no one will be.
The booth will
able
be
to
there,
work
but
on
nobody
it.
can set it up because we won't have badges.
None of them have badges.
We're going to have to sneak in, Hank.
Yep.
Ghost Hunter. Wizard's Butt? Wizard's Butt is good. Oh, Hank, I hate to hear that. I screwed the pooch on that one. I think I even said that in the email to her. I said, Shelly, I may have screwed the pooch on this one, and I hate that I'm causing you problems, but I need these 8 people registered somehow. I don't want to be that guy, and yet I'm that guy.
We can write their names on the badges with Sharpie. It's fine.
Yeah, we don't need fancy badges.
As long as we can get in.
I thought I was doing really well, too, to get all the Gamma stuff finished the way we did, and Gamma went off really good, and then I get home, and I'm like, oh,
Whoops.
it.
Eesh.
damn it. You have a video on how to layer like Jason does, a little more detail on what he does and why. What kind of layering are you talking about? Like this kind of stuff where I'm doing underpainting and glazing to get like this dead flesh color? Or like my standard layering that I do? Because when I paint what I would call normal, I don't do as much of this.
So like what you did there. Is there a video for that Wonder Woman? I keep going back to that one
Yeah,
because that's
the
like
Wonder
where
Woman
you,
is on there.
The Wonder Woman one is up
Where
on
you really kind of
YouTube.
the first time did
Yeah, it's
that
on YouTube.
underpainting.
And then this is obviously up on, or will be up on YouTube. Yesterday's stream will get up there too. That shows
It's already there.
doing a little bit of talking. Oh, it is because we stream on YouTube now, so we don't
Yes,
have to upload
it
it anymore.
is.
So they're already
Streams
there.
go Right up on YouTube immediately.
It's in the live tab on YouTube now,
Yep.
and they go up immediately because we're streaming to YouTube. Hi, YouTube.
Hi, YouTube.
You didn't know there were several
Three
methods
people on YouTube today.
Well, I paint in a lot of different ways, right? So like when you're seeing me paint the lion, I'm not using any glazes to paint this. Very few. Some of my layers may be thin, but this is just more traditional layering, right? Just slapping colors over colors and starting from dark and working to light, and then maybe using some glazes at the very end to pull my blends together.
Hey, can I just say one thing really quick before I go
Lock up.
lock up? If you are on YouTube right now watching us and we're about to wrap up, for the day. If you want to continue watching painting, we're going to raid someone here on Twitch. So jump over here to Twitch and then you can join in on the raid. Okay? All right.
You don't learn as much as from me being explained. We try to explain while we're painting, but sometimes we're telling fart jokes. So I get it on the show. So yeah, I mean, we plan to do a lot more long form videos as we get out of March here, and all of the shows get finished as we head into April, May, the summer. Jordan and I will be doing a lot more long form content for YouTube.
Yep.
That are videos that we're going to start with from the basics on, you know, base coating and why we base coat the way we do, how we choose our colors for particular things, and then work through airbrushing and glazing and thinning your paints and washes and all that. So you'll see a lot more content coming out. And then, you know, we're always open to ideas for stuff that you really want to see, you know, where we can talk about it. But yeah, I mean, I plan to walk through and do a bunch of those videos to show you different ways of attacking layering. I mean, there might be just a really good, you know, thing to do to show you how to blend and show like 3 or 4 different ways to blend. So fart jokes always take priority. Yes.
We love us some fart jokes, that's for sure.
Yeah, game delay. I was going to say, one of the big ones is this guy, right? So this guy, I think we have all the streams captured for how I did him, right? And this was all done with underpainting and glazing, as well as these guys, right? And this was a very simple method to get a very, very good looking outcome to do the warband. These guys will be going to Adepticon with me to beat zombies, right? And so that's how I painted all of them. And that's why you get all these great layered colors, purples, magentas, and all of that stuff, because it was all built up over underpainted base coats and just leaving them showing as you built up your skin color. And I did this with a lot of red grays and olive flesh to get this very pale, like I live in a cave kind of flesh tone. So all 3 of these are done with the same method, and the underpainted colors are very similar in each case, but the outcome is fairly different, right? These 2, the ghoul guy and the Warcry warband, the ogre maw pack, Gorger maw pack,
The Gorger maw pack,
right? But you can see how doing the magenta on them and then leaving more of the magenta showing gives us this kind of irritated red flesh, like on Charubael, versus covering it up with the olive flesh tones and having the, you know, the magenta just stay in the recesses, like on these guys. And then same thing here. And I'm doing it more abruptly on here. This was done with a lot of airbrushing on these guys, I think. And so it gives softer tones. Here I'm going for more, you know, hardcore contrast on it because the sinews of the skin are showing, and it's like the skin is you know, very dead looking. So just the way you apply the paint can change the way it looks, even using the exact same method. So. I mean, other things like this don't really have. We did a dark magenta wash on the Hulk, so that he had a little bit of magenta under him, and then I just painted him in hard layers. Very little glazing, just green over green over green.
What was
but I started with dark blue and dark magenta
there we go.
layered on him first, so that we could get a little bit of underpainted color and that feeling of blood in the veins. So there's a little bit of magenta there, and then it's just a bunch of green. Right? We painted him up really quick. So a lot of times it really just depends on what I'm looking to do, you know? You got stuff like my favorite model ever that has, I don't think I glazed anything on this guy. It's just painting. It's just layered painting. Very little airbrush.
God, I
Only
love
airbrushed
that
at the end for the glow on the armor.
That model turned out so good.
So, like I say, it really is just the model in question and what I'm looking to get out of it that dictates the style that I paint in. The quicker I want to go, the fewer glazes I do, the more just hard layering and mixing on my palette I do. So you wind up blending by mixing more colors that way. When I want to spend more time on it, like this guy, I tend to wind up painting with very sharp, intense colors at my underlayers, and then I spend a lot more time glazing to get it just right. And then going back over with washes and then highlighting over that. So it becomes way more steps. But most of it's done with just single colors. I very rarely mix anything because the mixing is happening live on the model here. Same when I wet blend. But if I'm really going fast, then typically I'll mix on the palette. So if I start with dark blue and then I want to go from dark purple to a flesh tone, I'll start with dark purple, paint the model dark purple, then I'll put my dark flesh tone out and mix it with my purple and paint that as my next layer just by adding a smidge of the flesh, and then more and more and more and more and more, and I just paint another layer on the model. There's really no blending necessarily happening, but because all of your colors are so close in proximity in their hue and value, that it makes it look like it's all blended. And that typically for me goes faster.
Yeah.
Just because I'm just painting layer until there's no more room to paint another layer and then you stop. It's pretty easy. The hardest part is mixing the color on the palette.
This magnesium.
Acrian, take it easy.
It's too good.
You're aiming for speed down the line, also mainly smaller models, so I guess layering over the underpaint and glaze method. Yeah, I mean, some people find that to be really, really, if you airbrush it, it's super fast.
Yeah.
But that limits you into certain models. Like I wouldn't, you notice I haven't airbrushed this guy. I won't airbrush him until I get to the final highlights on the skin, because to airbrush there's not a whole lot of skin showing given the volume of the model. Most of it is this big cloak and hunched back, right? So to airbrush and get a bunch of overspray on the rest of the model doesn't make a lot of sense. So here, that's why I'm not doing that. I'll just go in and airbrush like the final spot highlights on top will help blend and give me really bright top ends, like on the top of his arm here and probably a little bit on this thigh area. I'll go in with the airbrush. But I won't, if you can do like the Gorders, right? These guys, and I know it's Gorger, but on these guys doing airbrushing helps a lot because they're all skin. So this speeds things up tremendously, right? These guys can happen very, very quickly. And then you just do the highlights with the brush.
Same thing with a project like what I'm doing here. It's all just, base coat one layer of highlight with a airbrush.
Some dry
and
brush.
then some dry brushing.
Yeah.
Pick out the details, do all the, the freehand, and then give it a good old wash and you're done.
Yeah.
That's why, it takes so little time, is I'm able to think about, what are the quickest ways that I can achieve the colors that I want with minimal amounts of steps. And then, what's going to be great ways to quickly add very good levels of contrast without ruining the colors that I've achieved on the model. And that's like washes. Dry brushes are a really great way of producing contrast on your miniature very quickly. And then it's just making sure that you're picking good colors to combine with those two strategies to get you a really efficient end product.
What do you think, Phil?
It's looking great, dude. How are you enjoying it?
Oh, I'm loving painting him.
Good.
The chair looks extra big today.
Yeah, it does.
I mean, they are extra
well, it's
large.
zoomed out, right?
It is
I was
zoomed
gonna
out.
say,
Yeah.
I feel like it's zoomed out more.
It's also
We
very
usually
cold.
zoom in to where you're not seeing side to side of either
Yeah.
one of them.
I'm also not in my normal chair. It feels weird.
I know there's a box in Phil's chair.
Sorry, I didn't feel like moving.
Usharon takes off his cloak after a long day, stands up straight, and makes tea for an evening of needlepoint. I would like to believe
If he
this.
stood up straight, I think he'd be like 25 feet
He'd
tall.
be so tall.
Well,
It would be
he
ridiculous.
hunches over so that other people don't feel too overwhelmed in
Yeah,
his
yeah.
presence.
Understandably so.
He seems like a very modest guy.
I
It
was.
wasn't blue yesterday.
He is. He is a very regal.
Are you talking about the camera, Chris?
Yeah.
Is it Christmas sushi?
Blue
He had it all set up, but it loses its settings.
Every
the
day.
Logitech ones
Every-
lose their settings every so often.
Yeah, it's great.
Is there
Definitely
anything that
whenever there's an update on Windows, which is like every other day.
Seems like. What the heck?
Sounds like Christopher's not doing his job.
I think
Oh,
Christopher,
no.
Christopher, we need to send you back to school, buddy.
I'll teach you something about videography, Christopher.
Oh my gosh. That's really funny.
Oh yeah, he's flesh eater court. So in his mind, he is standing
is.
very tall and handsome.
That is correct.
This is also true.
I'm sure in his mind he doesn't think that he is
As,
12 feet tall.
Yeah.
He's probably just like a regular guy.
He's like, wait, we're the bad guys?
Are we the baddies? I love that.
Yes.
Have we been the bad guys all along?
We have skulls on our uniforms?
And I guess technically I'm talking about being faster layering, but on a model like this, I've talked more today than I've painted.
We've done a lot of talking.
And we've gotten a lot done. The glazing didn't take super long, and we only glazed the red gray over our crazy colors from yesterday, and then the highlight with the bright shadow flesh over the top of that.
Are you going to do anything else to the skin, or you
Yeah, I'll
gonna
continue
kinda-
to highlight a little bit, but I'll probably hold off on much more until I've got more color on the model.
Yeah.
Because I'm getting to that point where it's so bright that the
Yep.
next layer of brightness might overdo what I want to do with the non-metallic metal on the
Yep.
shoulder plates.
Got to have a little bit.
He doesn't have a
more
lot of metal. He's
context.
just got these 2 shoulder plates, and then
All the rings.
the stuff. Oh yeah, and all his tarnished he has a ton of finger rings. Wow, I didn't even realize that.
That's he's got finger ring, the rings on his
His
wrists.
bangles,
This
his
is-
bangly bracelets of some rings on his fingers.
Yeah.
This is the
He's got
giggle
like
of
some
some.
sort of gem on his forehead.
Max would like to know what effect you would get if you used the fluorescence for your underpainting before glazing on skin tones.
So the fluorescents are not very opaque. You'd be better served by using something like bright yellow green. The greens that I used, it gives you the same effect. I think that the fluorescence might be better as loose washes over the top if you wanted to have like a weird glow in the recesses. I might do that after the fact, or like after your midtones before you highlight. That could be cool. But because fluorescents are naturally not very opaque, I don't feel like that's really... You really need to have punchy, opaque colors for underpainting because they have to be able to survive a layer going over the top of them. And so the less opaque they are, the more immediate they disappear. You know, so that's why I've used all the colors that we did here, you know, real punchy colors like the dark hot pink, the bright green, right, the bismuth yellow, and of course dark purple are what we're still seeing. And we're still seeing all of those here, including the red. Right, they're just very, very subtle, and in order to maintain that subtlety that you want when you glaze over the top, they need to be really punchy before you put paint over them. Because the way to think of it is that, you know, when I undercoat, they look silly. The model looks silly. If you watch the Wonder Woman video, she looks like
It looks
She-Hulk.
ridiculous.
It looks
yeah.
bad until
Crazy.
it doesn't.
She looks like She-Hulk painted by Pollock or something, right? And then you airbrush the shadow flesh I think I did over her, and that first layer of shadow flesh makes you go, oh damn.
Now I get it.
Right, but you can always glaze in very light layers and build layers up to get it where you want it. You can't ever go and paint back underneath your skin tone. And so it's a very, I say scary. I don't want to make it like scary, like don't do it. But it is a way of painting that you have to be fairly sure of what's going on. Because you're going to need to have those really, really punchy underlayers. You don't want to make them subtle. You don't want to have super blends going on because your blends are wasted. You want patches of bright color to match your value and the hue that you want to show through. And then you glaze over it, and your glaze continues to sink it and make it go away and go away and go away. And you can continue to glaze to get it just right and dial it in. But like I said, you can't go back and brighten those underlayers up. You have to repaint the model. So always make them more punchy than you think they need to be because you can always glaze them away.
Source said, Jordan, I see Jason mixing his glazes in cups. Do you do yours on the wet palette?
Oftentimes I will do it on the wet palette. Usually I don't do it in a mixing cup unless I'm mixing like a wash or noosh, right? So this noosh mix that I have here,
Captain Awesome Balls.
I mixed on.
It's a great name.
It's a great name. Welcome.
Captain Awesome Balls.
Yeah, I tend to mix all of my glazes. Typically, I don't glaze with anything other than water, but when I'm doing bright colors, I like to use the glaze wash medium, right? So when I'm doing that, I mix in the cup for sure. My noosh stuff, my glazes, and my washes all go in one of our little mixing cups.
Captain Jonesy said, could you recommend an interesting underpainting color for Blood Angels?
Somebody
Yes, you
likes
can.
us.
I hope so.
I hope so.
I was like, well, wait a minute. I know this answer. I have these guys.
Captain Awesome Ball said blue.
Yeah, blue.
Crimson
I
Chapterlander
use
said
Payne's
purple or
Gray.
green.
So here's one that is in process, and you can see the Payne's Gray, which is kind of a very dark gray blue, right, is underneath, and it gives us a really cool shadow that juxtaposes the warmth of the red, and then it's pyrrole red and orange red over the top of that, right, with a little bit of warm flesh mixed into the orange red for the final highlights, which is that peachy color, right? And I've done the same thing here. I just didn't use the orange red as highlights on this guy. But it's the same thing. Payne's Gray into pyrrole red.
Game delay, you maybe were only too slow because of the delay. That's not
Oh.
your delay, but the delay on your stream.
So I'm a
I
big
think
You
fan.
said
I'm a
it
big
right
fan
as
of
he
blue.
was
I'm not
saying
as
it.
big a fan of purple, but purple works really well because it has a red component.
Yeah.
I tend to just like the blue. Now this was Payne's Gray into dark plum into red. So the dark plum gives you a little bit of that purplishness that goes and transitions from the blue to the red, and all done with the airbrush, and it works great. Great shadow color for red. Purple works. But sometimes it can be too much.
Is it too warm? Is that why?
It doesn't have the same nuance that blue does to me.
Okay.
Right? It gives it will still cool it off, but because it has such a red component, I guess it depends on the purple too, because you can go to a purple like our dark purple that's more of a blue than a red,
it's more blue,
and that would work a lot better.
Okay.
So
Just curious.
So with the time change, because I'm confused by it,
yeah,
Kenny's actually an hour later, right?
yeah, he's an hour later from us now. I told him we went out through all of this. I told him, I said, remember when the time changes, you'll either have to change your stream time or we won't raid you.
Yeah.
Okay.
We will not receive us for 6 months. See you in the fall.
We just, unfortunately, with everything that goes on around here, we can't switch our stream
Oh,
time
gosh.
every time the clock changes anymore.
Oh my
Herr
The-
Zielinski, really love your product. Bought like 15 paints in a row. Would you
Awesome.
recommend a replacement for Citadel Corn Red?
I think that
red?
our new red
Oh, actually,
oxide
yeah, that's way better.
what I'm
is
using right now.
probably the best bet, right? This is coming out at Adepticon. It's one of the Adepticon signature colors. It's basically Adepticon red, and that's what he's painting.
If you are not going to Adepticon Herr Zielinski, you'll be able to purchase it from our website or your friendly local game store late April or early May.
We have two new reds coming out, the red oxide and orange red,
Dad bought Napcon.
which if you
That
look
body
at how
color.
it is against our current Pyro red, you can see where those fit in, right?
Dad bod Napcon. Thank you for the follow. Or no,
What
for
did-
the
what
sub.
did it say?
That's a sub.
Dad bod
Oh.
nap.
Dad bod
bod
nap
nap
guy.
That's
That's
awesome.
hard to say, but worth it.
I love it.
Very worth it. Thank you for the sub.
Dad bod nap god.
Nick likes it when we're not observing our daylight saving time because it's we start as he's getting off work.
Oh,
Oh,
nice.
is burnt red closest source? Yeah, burnt red's also a fantastic
I think
color.
burnt red is closer because corn red's a little darker.
Oh, is it darker?
Yeah.
Yeah, so this. And then the red oxide is a little bit brighter and a little bit more orange.
But red oxide's
Tinted.
great for highlighting it.
Yeah, you would highlight it with red oxide maybe over burnt red. That would get rid of that, pyro red becomes really, really punchy when you do it over burnt red, which makes for a great red, but if you're trying to keep it in that deeper color, I think these two go well together. Yep. Dad bod, Louise,
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
She
got some
is.
colors. As a matter of fact, the orange red I just showed off is hers,
It is.
right? These are all Rogue Hobbies. The dark hot pink,
Blurry.
the ultramarine,
Ultramarine.
the bismuth yellow, bright green, right, and dark turquoise. Great set. Absolutely fantastic.
Solid.
Bold pyro and mahogany can make a pretty close mix. That's going to give you very close to what burnt red is.
It is, yeah.
But yeah, burnt red's probably your best bet.
Aren't
Rogues
they
and
so
Grok gang keep
good?
showing up. Well, welcome everybody. If you've come over here due to any of the new signature series, welcome. We are Monument Hobbies.
Hi.
We make all these amazing things.
We
We
don't
do.
call our paint stuff like that though. So
What's that?
bright green fits with the way we name them. Bright green
Gobble
should be
Lovers
named
Green.
Gobble Lovers Green. Or
Oh yeah,
something
yeah,
like
yeah, yeah,
that.
yeah. Yep. We didn't have. Normally, we would put we have a funny kicker on the curvature of the paint swatch on the front of the bottle sometimes. And we didn't have any time to get the labels out for Adepticon to do that on the first batch of labels, but we didn't order as many labels as we normally do, so we'll go back through and be able to add those over time too.
Captain Awesome Balls loves watching our YouTube shorts. The one with the verdigris armor
you.
on the troll was life changing.
Awesome.
Life.
Never once thought to start with jades and highlight with metals. I was just of the impression you do all the metals first and add a jade wash after. Thank you for that.
Yeah,
Good job,
we've been showing people forever how to do rusts and verdigris and things by underpainting. I'm a big fan of underpainting.
That's all him, by the way.
And so when you do those colors and you do them, the thing is what we were just talking about a minute ago was that you have to paint those underpainted colors very bright, and it stands your brain on its head because it doesn't make any sense to do it that way. But when you go really intense rust colors and then you dry brush dark silver over the top, again, it's life changing. The first time you do it, you're like,
Oh, now it makes sense.
Yeah.
what the hell?
Yep.
Because that's how this troll was done, right? And you'd never know it. If I didn't tell you, you'd be like, oh my God, how'd you do that rusty metal? And this is literally that same thing. It's just stippled rust colors, burnt sienna, burnt orange, yellow ochre, and then dry brush. And you get fantastic, very quick, very good looking beat up metals, right? That's all this is, It's like a $100 or $150 model, and I don't care. I'm dry brushing them, because that's the way the metals look the best. So once you learn that kind of underpainting is a really good cheat, It is, because it can go on and do so much for you. Because you can do it. I mean, we've even done models that are fairly clean looking with it. I don't know if I still have that marine.
Which one are you looking for?
The clean one that we did the blue underneath.
The clean one that we did the blue underneath. Are you talking about the silver one?
Chunky marine boys. I don't remember what.
The silver one, right?
Here's
Yeah,
Linsky.
silver.
Yes, we
Oh,
will
here you
show
go.
that
Yeah,
in
it's over
just
there.
a second. Christopher Williams. Yes. Hang tight.
Somebody was asking if you could do it and not have it be something like rust, and so we did it with bright blues underneath silver for a space marine, and you can see how it makes the gaps kind of glow in that blue, but it makes it look cleaner, right? Gives it kind of a weird, otherworldly kind of underglow. So you can do it with all sorts of colors. I always tell people, just go and experiment, because it's a really fun way to do stuff.
Can you show the difference between dark magenta and dark hot pink?
Yeah. Big difference.
Yep. And then dark, I think you said dark crimson. Dark crimson versus the, I don't know. Christopher Williams, I'm not sure. Said, how does dark burgundy compare to corn red?
Dark burgundy?
But I don't know.
He said
Then
I
said,
mean
I'm
crimson.
sorry, I mean crimson. So I'm not sure exactly which color.
Dark crimson versus.
So if we show you like the reds, and then you go into
Yeah, there
dark
you
burgundy is a lot more blue, and dark crimson is going to be a very, very deep red, right? So if you wanted your armor to be burnt red as the main color, you could start with dark crimson and then go to here. I really like mahogany for that, right? Which mahogany, right? So mahogany into burnt red is a great one. Mixing those two gets you just fantastic shadow to highlight. The crimson is kind of a blood effect. It's very well, I can't say very. It's not as opaque, and it's really gloss. It's one of the only two gloss
paint,
colors
yeah.
that we make. Not even satin. Like
There you
it's
go.
super
Oh, yeah.
shiny.
The other
Yeah, it's
troll.
what he did the
Yeah.
blood on there for. Right. So a little bit tougher to work with, but you can matte varnish it down. But mahogany gets you in that same realm as soon as you start mixing it in. So mahogany into burnt red will do really well for you for shadows into highlights. The others are not really quite that red.
Duxomnium is looking for a conversion chart. Acryl to like Citadel.
The
Not
best.
something we really do, but
Yeah.
people have it.
The Paint Rack app is a good option for you to find stuff that's really close. You do have to buy the premium version of it to get access to it, I believe. It was like $5. And it will give you similar hues. It will give you a couple of different options within the range for similar hues. So it's a good starting point at least. But we don't make colors that are replicas of other colors that exist from other ranges, so you're generally not going to find something that's exactly the same.
Yeah, that's the hardest thing for us, because when we make colors, we don't look at the world of other manufacturers. We look at what colors we want to make. And that sounds funky because there's so many lines of hobby paints that are really just trying to recreate GW, and they kind of go through and they come up with their similars. And so they, in some cases, there's lines out there that kind of 1-to-1 match either current or old GW. And that's great. That's just not where we paint from. We know, we just want particular colors and ranges of colors, and we want you to, learn mixing, because you'll get way more out of your art if you can learn to mix some of those colors. So yeah, it's tough for us to make those comparisons because so many of our colors are super close, but not right on target, Miniature Painter Pro. Yep, another good app. We just got contacted by another guy that's making a paint app that will do very similar things. So we just gave him the right to use all of our colors and stuff. So there'll be another one out on the market soon, hopefully. Always good for competition.
Very cool.
Oh, that's going to look good with that stripe being that. What color are you using right now, Jordan?
This is the bright pale yellow.
Oh, nice. Yeah, that's going to look good.
And I'm just the kind of the chaos star that I'm doing on this side.
Oh, that's right. You're a heretic.
Yeah.
Okay, well, it looks horrible.
It looks bad.
I thought it looked good, and then I was wrong.
I changed my mind.
You changed my mind, you filthy heretic. All right, gang. Thank you so much for hanging out with us today. We got a bolt.
Oh yeah, I'm gonna leave.
It is 421. We do stream. For those of you that are new here, please hit that follow button. Don't be shy. Do it. Get alerts when we go live. We stream 5 days a week, Monday through Friday, from 2 p.m. to 4 p.m. Mountain Standard Time. Arizona. If you don't know what that means, just check what time it is in Phoenix, Arizona. That's where we are.
We don't change times.
Our time never
now
changes.
We're Pacific time.
So just remember that in times like right now, it'll be different in 6 months for you guys.
Yeah.
If you're not in Arizona, it seems like we change times all the time, but we don't.
It's your fault, not ours.
It's you, not me.
Blame the fine people of stream.
It's you, not me. But thanks so much for hanging out with us. Check out the links that Jen either did or will throw up in chat.
I did already.
Scroll back up. The store and the FLGS link will show you where you can buy all the wonderful Monument Hobby products we do that help support us to be able to do these wonderful streams and teach you how to paint. Thank you so much for everybody being such a great community and supporting us over the years. We got a lot more in store. 18 new colors that we've been showing off coming at Adepticon. We'd love to see you there. If you're going to the show, don't hesitate to stop by and say hi. We'll have Jordan Mashik, Flame On Miniatures, will be there painting during the entire show with Jordan.
I meant to ask if you announced that.
We haven't really announced that. But Flame On Miniatures will be in the Monument Hobbies booth.
Will be at our booth at Adepticon. So
bringing him all the way from Krakow, Poland to paint with us. And so Jordan, he'll be painting. You can come hang out, ask questions, see the master at work. I just don't even want to know what people's heads are, how we're going to clean brains up off the floor all show as people watch Mashik blend non-metallics.
Somehow.
So
Somehow.
he turns it from pinstripe suit to amazing photorealistic metal in like 2 brush strokes. So it's pretty crazy. Nutrimentia, I did red-gray glaze first, and then bright shadow flesh second. Is how we got to here over all those underpainted colors, right? And then, of course, all this stream will be on YouTube in the live portion, so you can watch it if you caught it late and you want to catch up with everything we did, like seeing how I glazed the colors over the skin. We did that very early on, and then we've been talking a lot. And Jordan has painted like 18 models.
Yeah, we painted this, and then we finished this.
Because he sold his soul to Zinch. So,
That's true.
But stick around. We're going to find somebody to raid. We'd love to see you back here again tomorrow. But stick around and show some love in the chat we wind up in. If you're over on YouTube, always join us over on Twitch so you can find more amazing content from live streamers that do amazing hobby stuff.
Brandon
So stick it out for the rest of the evening.
Us, and I was going to raid him.
Oh, well, no.
Dang it.
No, I don't know
We
what
have to
do.
stay now, guys.
No, we don't.
I'm kidding.
Jason, no, we
No,
don't.
we
Great. Well, everybody just
Brad
got
again.
here.
Now Jen has to go find somebody else to raid.
Start
Hang on,
over.
hang on.
Do the outro again.
Run it back.
Run it back.
Brandigans, hope you're doing well. Good to see you, man.
Okay, so those of you who are here, hang tight. It's going to take me a minute to find somebody different. to raid.
Somebody new. There's not a lot of people
The time
streaming.
is different, so there's not a lot of people streaming right now.
Scroll down.
It is.
That's it. That's as far as it goes.
No. It doesn't even give us like who you should be
telling
watching.
you, this is as far as it goes.
Refresh that again, maybe.
I just did.
Wow.
Time change is massive.
Click on the Warhammer link underneath Tactical Tortoise down there. See, we'll find some new painters.
New people.
Some new blood.
Is there literally nobody painting? Okay, Tuppy the Ducky. Anybody know Tuppy the Ducky? That's
Nope.
just a great name.
It's a great name.
Good name.
Painting Manus Warriors. All right, we're rating
That's
Tuppy
it.
the Ducky.
All right.
Everybody
All
have
the
fun.
love.
We will catch you back here tomorrow.
All
Please
the
join
love.
us. Make sure you join our Discord too. Follow that link. We'd love to see you over there. Have a wonderful evening, and we'll be back mañana. Adios,
you
gang.
guys.
Bye.